All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Logic Bomb podcast. Here we go. It's 2 days into Demon Vale, right? 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the driver of the conversation today. A few other tidbits that we'll throw in as we go along. You never know where we're going to end up. But Demon Vale, we've all been playing it. How we feeling?
Hug.
I mean, yeah. Outside of me, for the first few games, having to verse XM.
We're gonna
wiped the floor.
Yeah.
With Dan, Shepard. Who else was there? Always. I was just like, oh, come on, man. Like, seriously.
At least you get a good game then.
I mean, they got a good game.
Yeah, but compare that to... So, the last day of last season, I played 5 cheaters in a row.
Yep, so did I. That's why I gave up. Like, at the end of the season, I gave up, yeah.
5 in a row of full-on spin butters.
Oh, mine just had balls.
No, full rage hack, like repelling through the floor, full auto. I haven't seen any of those yet now, so I'm assuming that it's gonna take them a while to catch up. And the phone number thing seems to be doing something, because I'm seeing more high-level accounts now than I used to. They used to be like level 60 in every game, and
yeah,
I'm not seeing as many of those anymore. I will say
definitely helping with the Smurfs.
Yeah, I ran into one issue with the phone number thing. It really sucks when you're a legit decent player and you DC or crash, and your team ends up canceling, and now you can't play ranked because you can't jump on another account to do it.
Yeah.
And Elo is not important enough for me to have a second phone number just for another account.
No.
So they need to figure something out there, because it was a 1-hour sanction.
Turns out, I know this isn't, the solution you were hoping for, because we were all hoping that this wouldn't be a solution, but turns out Google Voice works.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to.
I know.
And also, that's probably not a good thing to recommend, that people have more than one account.
That's the thing. That's what this is meant to combat. This is meant to combat having multiple accounts. It's meant to stop Smurfs. It's meant, like, all these meant tos that I just see people working around. So that's my problem with it, is that I was really excited for it. Like, I try not to get too invested in, like, things being added, because, sometimes they don't meet the hype. And I was like, no, this is going to do things. Like, this is going to force people to have to pay for extra phone numbers. In many countries I've been in, you got to show your passport for getting extra SIM cards. Like, I'm like, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? And then I start to see, like, other things working, and I'm like, oh.
But it's still going to help, because most people are not going to go out of their way to figure out a way to have, like, a second phone number just for a game. Like, if you're doing that, you're already willing to do, like, slightly sketchy stuff to bypass things, right? It's not normal to do that.
So, but didn't they say that they were going to use, like, a third-party system to identify people who are
identifying the wrong numbers. So a few people on Twitter have highlighted that they have normal numbers, normal SIM card, always been their friggin' number, and then they go to put it in, it says this number is suspicious, so they contact support. I mean, these are legitimate people posting on Twitter.
Yeah, but posting on Twitter, like, we got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, there are certain areas that probably aren't accepted, right? Like, that's like always going to be
like the US?
Probably. There are some, like, prepaid SIMs that won't work.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate, because these are these people's legitimate phone numbers, and they can't even get in their main account.
It's going to hit some people no matter what. And then on the other hand, there are people that are bypassing it with really cheap ones, but that third-party company is going to have, like, it's going to take time to catch up with everything and figure out which ones to block and ban and blah blah blah.
I'm fine with it not working extremely well. It's not ideal, but I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with it is it not working well and inconveniencing people who are trying to play the game legit, and making that's a problem. So they really need to figure out something there. It's either got
if it's going to work, it has to work well. Like, if it's going to inconvenience people, it has to be worth their inconvenience for me to sit there and go that's worth it. Whereas now it kind of feels like it's...
We need some data with people saying that it doesn't work, right? Like, what carrier? Because there's been 2 in my chat the entire day that said that they couldn't get theirs to work. And I never got the carrier.
Okay.
So it's like, I mean, how many is it, and how's it working? What do they have?
What
It'd be
beyond
interesting to know.
beyond the phone number thing? What are you guys thinking? Because I kind of went a little bit different on the test server this time. I played it like the first day, and I really didn't play it again after they removed the normal game mode from the test server, and Deathmatch was only available the second day, I think it was. I never really touched the test server again, and it wasn't really a choice. I got hooked on Elden Ring. That's real talk. But I'm kind of coming into this season like really excited, and it feels really fresh to me because I didn't spend very much time on the test server at all. I
used to do that.
I am having a good time, man. Like this is an awesome season. The one-time scope change is one of the best changes that this game's ever seen.
Yeah, it's kind of nicer.
I think Azami is amazing, and she's only going to keep getting better the more that we see her played.
And she's not OP because she has a cooldown and she's a reactive operator.
I think she's busted.
You think she's busted?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we have different interactions, but yeah.
In a 1v2, it's way too easy to just throw it on a doorway, and attackers can't go close to that doorway. You can shoot legs.
Yeah, that's the time I've made it work the best, is because it's circular, leaves that little gap. So yeah.
I try to save all of mine, and I literally just throw them at doors when people are about to push.
Same. That's what I mean by reactive. Like I'm always like mid to late round with her, really closing off windows, doors, blocking lines of sides, like.
And
it takes a smart player for that, though.
I almost never call busted on operators. I'm almost always like in defensive things being way too strong to start with. But Goyo is too strong.
Yeah, I know we discussed this, and
20 seconds it's too long.
That's too long. I agree.
Are you using it often?
Yeah, like I've seen rounds in 2v2s with 60 seconds left where the attackers couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can make an argument. I know this sounds strange. I think you can make an argument that even if he's not strong overall as an operator, 20 seconds is just too long. Like it's
obnoxious.
That's too long. I'm sorry. Like that shouldn't be a thing in the game. Is where you shoot a canister and it blocks off that big of an area for 20 seconds. No.
I'd rather see them double the damage in half the time. So you can't sprint through it.
Yeah.
Like you will die if you run through it. But it's only 10 seconds. Because right now you can yeet straight through it. You just can't plant at all for 20 seconds plus, 3 smokes.
Yeah.
I've also seen it mess up defenders though, where someone puts it in a bad spot and an aid gets 1 or 2 and the defenders are panicking, just running around getting roasted. That's unfortunate when that happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, 20 seconds is a long time for a defender too. Like if you're, I had a situation the other day in janitor's closet, I think is what it was, and it was going off, and I'm just like, okay, like I'm a defender, and I'm trying to like rotate around here, and I there's nothing I can do. I just think 20 seconds is, like you said, Jess, it's obnoxious.
I feel like it's an easy fix though. Like I'm not sitting here like, jumping on Twitter, shouting at the stars about it, because at the moment I think it's an easy fix. I would be shocked if in a month we're still talking about it, and if we are, maybe there's an opportunity for us to actually highlight it a little bit more and to say, hey guys, like, this is still a problem. But yeah, I think for now,
let them stay until Pro League has like 1 or 2 rounds of just 60 seconds where the attackers are standing crying, and then it'll get
played. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah,
I'm fine with it being strong right now because it makes people play it and figure out what you can do with it, and that knowledge is still gonna transfer whenever the nerf hits, right? And it's gonna get nerfed. It has to. But I'm not in a rush for doing it because I've never struggled with the other team having Goyo, because I feel like no one wants to just sit and wait. But I'm old and slow and I love it. So I'll put like 3 of those and then pop them, move a little bit back, pop the next one, move a little bit back, pop the next one.
The Maestro Cam still interacts, because I had it set up on bank, where I put my Maestro Cam in towards side, and then we have like obviously all the Goyo. What is it called now? Is it a Goyo box?
Vulcan canister, maybe?
Vulcan canister?
Maybe. I mean, it was a Vulcan shield. I'm
going to call it a Vulcan.
Okay, sure.
Regardless. So all the Vulcans around, and I wanted to use my laser to like pop them in the default areas, and because it spread so far, I'm like, it's going to be easy. Of course, I lost my cam, obviously, quite early, but if that kind of interaction still exists, is a really good opportunity for me to play sort of multi-utility usage with it whilst it's still in the game.
I call them hot boxes.
Hot boxes, I like that.
That works.
You can also you can kill a Mav with it if you shotgun out the bottom. Imagine clubhouse CC wall. You shotgun out the bottom. You put the canister all the way up against the wall.
Yep.
Mav starts doing the thing. You pop it. The fire will be on the other side of the wall as well.
Yeah.
He cannot continue to Mav, and you can literally just like while he is Mav, you can run over, place a new one. You can get 2 off in that time. It's 40 seconds of him not being able to Mav the wall.
What happens if you don't shotgun out the bottom of the wall in that scenario?
Then it's finicky. If he doesn't destroy enough of the wall while Maving then it might not cross to the other side.
So you're saying it won't, it does it have to do with the fire bleed through, or does it have to do with him destroying the gadget?
No. If he destroys the gadget, the fire is going to be there. But I'm going to shoot the gadget myself. But there's, I don't know what happens when there's a soft wall on a reinforced wall. If it's,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Proper on the other way for some reason.
Yeah.
But if you clap the wall and then shoot that thing, the second he starts Maving, you have 20 seconds where he can't keep Maving. You run over, place another one in the other end of that reinforced wall, and you pop it again, and he still can't Mav.
That's really something. I mean, there's something.
I'm not sure we should be teaching everyone these ideas. There, Alex.
The nade below still gets you, but this is great.
Sure.
I love it. I've been doing nothing but just hearing Mavs go.
Remind me.
Is it Castle that screams with a twitch?
Castle has a great scream, so that might be him. Tachanka's got a great scream too. Remind me later in the show to talk about the Maverick rant that I have. I don't want to talk about it now, but later I want to talk about Maverick.
Why not?
I want to talk. I keep talking about this season because I think I want to frame this question to you guys: Is Demon Vale the best siege season of all time?
Too early to say. Okay. They can still mess things up.
If I say objectively, the problems I've had with it is obviously it's frustrating to start the season in a brand new fashion. Obviously, we spoke about that, like slowly becoming better as the seasons go on with this new version of it. So I don't really have a problem with it. If my only problem is that because I play 4-3, the HUD is still not fixed after we reported it on the test server still being an issue and bleeding out off the screen. If that is my only issue with the game, and of course the sound thing where it's like muffled or whatever in places. I play on night mode, so it's not as bad for me. But I know other people play like hi-fi, is it called?
I mean, it'll be the exact same. You just have an EQ on it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that I'm hearing things what I believe is normally. Other people are hearing it not so normally, so I don't know what that is. So I'm pretty okay with everything other than the HUD thing, to be honest. So that's my only concern. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good first world problem to have, is when you just can't see some of your HUD.
Yeah, I think so. I think that when you're I think it's much easier to answer that question like 6 months down the road or a year down the road. Like it's easy for me to look back and say my favorite season of all time is Parabellum, but I didn't see that at the time. It's much easier to see that now. You know what I mean? So I think it's a tough question to ask, but I think it's a fair question to ask right now for a couple of different reasons. One, I think a zombie is one of, if not the best operators that have ever been introduced into this game post release. I think she's up there with Mira and amongst the best DLC operators that have ever been released. Number two, I have people in my friends list that are playing this game that I have not seen play this game in 1-2 years. It's happening right now. I played with one of my buddy Numbers last night. He hasn't played this game. He used to play it every day. He hasn't played this game in at least a year, probably, consistently anyway. So that's a big deal. And I think there's one way to look at the best season of all time and say, X's and O's. We got this and this and this, and that was big. And I think this is checking some of those marks with the one-time scope change with a zombie. The map coming mid-season is going to be a huge X factor here. Depending on how that goes, that could really send it over the edge. But there's also a way of looking at a season and saying, how much fun did I have? And did my friend did it draw interest in the game again? And I think this is doing that. I think year 7 season 1 is doing more to reinvigorate the game than year 6 season 1 did.
I think it'd be hard to deny that. I think just based off what I've seen, I mean, that's subjective, of course, but based off what I've seen, I can queue with a whole host of friends. We don't have MMR restriction like we used to. We don't have a bunch of other things that were causing issues. I reckon I've maybe come up against like one bug. Outside this whole HUD thing, like I think I've gone up against like one bug, and like outside of that, it's just been quote unquote normal games, except for the ones you think are walling and you can't really prove. Whatever, the cheating aside, sweet. Yeah, so like you just put that to the side, you look at everything else, I could keep queuing. And I just kept queuing. My places were pretty dodge, but I placed where I would quote unquote expect, low plat, high gold 1, you know, like that's the area that I would expect to place on most of my accounts. Then you go up from there. So I think it worked as you explained it would, Alex. Obviously I needed to see it in practice to believe it, but I think it worked in practice. It's also strange to get cheaters in Team Deathmatch. Gave Team Deathmatch a few goes today. Weird to have people running around with like the D50 and just like headshot, and you're like, okay, I see what's going on, friend. You know, just warming up the cheats. Yeah, I see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I think anyone who says this is not one of the best seasons, probably is rather new to the game and doesn't understand what we mean when we're referencing all those seasons ago. The last time I got really excited for a season was Operation Health. And I think a lot of us at the time got really excited for that season to come and for all those things to get fixed. So, yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt that it's an awesome season. There are a few things that are, like, I have audio fully disappearing. Like, fully disappearing.
I've heard that. Yeah. I've heard that. Are you playing Vulcan? Because I had to stop playing Vulcan because I was getting stutter issues.
I've never played Vulcan. It's too weird and...
Really? I was getting so many more frames of Vulcan.
Yeah, but I don't need more frames. I have 300. Mm-hmm. Like, whether I have 300 or 400 is not going to have an impact on anything. Like, there's no point in chasing the last 100 frames for a less stable experience. Then there's another issue where the game takes much longer for me to launch now than it did before.
And
we're talking like, before the game would launch in seconds, maybe 5 to 10 seconds from clicking the button to being in the menu. Now we're talking like a minute.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. I'm still insanely disappointed that they haven't figured out how to fix streamer mode yet. I know it's not on the Rainbow Six team, but holy shit, Ubisoft, get your shit together and then make it so we don't have, like, we can turn off friend requests. Why can we not do that?
Yeah.
Why can you spam friend requests at people all the time? And how can that be so difficult to fix?
Can we visit this for 1 second? Because I think we talked a few episodes ago, Alex. Alex mentioned his idea with it, and Jess, let's get your thoughts on this, because I think I haven't found a problem yet. What if instead of a streamer mode, when you start a game of ranked Rainbow Six Siege, both teams' names are hidden? You do not see players' names from either team. You see, Alpha, Foxtrot, whatever. Okay, and then after the game is over, you see the names. What am I missing here? What's the problem with this? Am I explaining that properly, Zeronic?
Yeah. To some extent, you'll have a reveal of who you played against once the game is finished, but you will not know who you're against during.
Why do we need to know who we're playing with?
Exactly.
That's not saying argument for chat. I personally don't think you should be able to talk to anyone before the game ends. Because there is no good reason. Like, if we're pretending like this is about being competitive, and this is only for rank, I don't care about for quick match, I don't care.
Yeah.
We do it for rank and then call it, like, it's a way to make the game truly, like, blind in terms of you don't know who you're against. You have to take it serious. You're not going to get a bad experience because you know it's the team that just beat you, or be cocky because you know it's the team you just beat. You have no idea who you're against. You play the game. After the game is done, there's a reveal. All the names are there. There is no streamer mode. There's no way of hiding, right? Like, you can see if you won against Jess in rank, and then you can still take your screenshot and post it on Twitter and be proud of that.
Yeah.
And you could even show the other team's individual ranks as well. Like, no stat would have to be hidden because no one can bother anyone about it before the game ends.
Yeah.
None of the trackers would ideally work because they're not doing anything good for the game during the match.
Well, let me pause you right there for 1 second. I would make this argument. To the third-party trackers, this could allow you to survive for longer, in my opinion, because why not make them work? As long as the tracker doesn't show the name, as long as they agree to do that part. So whenever I come into a game with somebody, if I want to run the R6 tracker overlay, I can still run it, and it'll pull up the other team's stats and stuff like that, but will not show their names.
Sure.
It won't show any of their history. None of that, but it'll show their stats. That to me is R6 tracker. I would look at that and be like, that's better for me because I can see where this is heading, and eventually I'm not going to exist as a product anymore because people are only going to put up with giving up this much data to these third-party companies for so long. Like Valorant already makes you opt in. It's coming. If they were smart, they would be all in favor of this.
The only issue that people have raised to me is that you don't know if you're going against a cheater because a lot of people use the canceling function. Now, let us make this very clear with the new phone number thing. The option to cancel is pretty well removed unless you are doing, as Alex said before, the wrong thing by having multiple numbers, multiple accounts, etc., of which adding the phone number verification is meant to avoid. So I would love to sympathize with you wanting to cancel against cheaters or wanting to know you're going up against a cheater or wanting to be able to report. You'll be able to report at the end. And everyone will be able to see the name and
theoretically, you could report during the game as well. You still have a name
whatever
there.
The option is. Sure. Yeah. So I would love to be sympathetic, but I have to draw that sympathy away because I have to believe in the fact that at some point this phone number thing works to the point of which it's been implemented for. And I believe in the philosophy of it. And if I want to believe in it, I also have to believe that the other things that come as a result of it are acceptable consequences. So you should not be allowed to quote unquote cancel against a cheater. We have to have hope that at some point us pressing report cheater ends in something, which we know at the moment is a very frustrating task, but we have that is the consequence of the number implementation.
I think you're putting too much faith in the number thing. I think you're talking like 10% max in terms of impact, which is still going to be very noticeable. But I hate this argument people come with cancellation should be there so you can dodge cheaters, because first off, it wasn't implemented for that.
No.
Yep.
Right? It was implemented so if little Timmy really has to go, like his PC catches fire and cannot reconnect, then the other 4 people don't have to sit there. But we do have a surrender, so if it's because you really don't want to play, you could surrender and you lose that elo and then you move on. And if they get banned, the game will go to 0 anyway. But if people keep canceling games, they're just throwing the cheater onto the next stack and the next stack and the next stack until it reaches someone that isn't using a shitty third party to figure out if people are cheating. Because if you don't know before the game starts, you're not going to be able to cancel anyway, right? So
is it true? Is it true? I'm glad you brought this up. Is it true? And I don't know if it still exists, and I would actually need like Ubisoft to answer this, that if you because back in the day, if you used to surrender, you wouldn't get your elo back.
I have no idea. I know where that stems from, and that's something we said just to get people not to surrender.
Okay.
Like, I don't think anyone actually has any proper stuff on that. It was just something that was made up on a stream at one point to get people not to surrender.
Okay, because that's what people have been telling me recently. I don't know.
It was just to get people like. The problem is, what do you do like during ranked games? If you meet a stack of really good players and you play, 30 games in a season. Champ player's straight up going to look like a cheater to you. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. Should you be allowed to cancel that?
People cancel against me, Alex. Me. Yeah, like, I'm not going to be wiping the floor with you, bro.
Like, that not be like the decision to say, I don't want to play against this person or this team. That should never be in the hand of the player.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with this new phone number thing. I will now not feel sympathy for you because you, quote unquote, should not be able to cancel your game without having a negative repercussion of you can't queue for another hour, 24, etc., etc. So now there's no sympathy from me. Before you had me on a little bit of a fence, maybe I could look over it, grass greener on the other side kind of thing. Now it's like, well, yeah, get fucked.
I think people end up automatically making the game shittier for everyone just to make the game a little bit better for themselves. They end up having like 2 or 3 or 4 accounts to dodge games, and then their Smurf account is going to have lower elo overall and tank other people's ranking. It's definitely it's bizarre. Better thing if we only all had one account.
For sure.
And think about how much harassment would just instantly go away if we don't know who we're playing against.
Agreed. Agreed.
You should see the chat logs of some of the pros ults. Oh, it's fucking dirty. Like they would not say that shit if they were on their main. They would not say that shit if they were on the main.
I'd say there's probably a few that wouldn't be playing comp if
Yep, I agree.
Any of that stuff ever actually went out.
Yep.
But there's the weird defense I've heard for not doing this is that people have some sort of dissociation or issue, like knowing that it's people on the other team, and in like tests in games when they do this, where everyone else is just called player 1 to 5 or whatever you want to call them, they don't feel like they're playing against people. But I'm calling bullshit on that, because when I run streamer mode with NATO names, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just as good of an experience. I couldn't give a shit if the guy on the other team is called Golf or Little Timmy 420.
But what do they want to know? Like it actually blows me. Like I'm genuinely asking, and I'm happy to look at all of your chats and my chat. What, by knowing the other team's names, their gamer tags, what do you gain? What are you sitting there and going, I must know the other team's names outside of cheaters? Remove the whole cheating argument. What do you gain? Because I am deep inside convinced there is not a single thing you can tell me that will convince me that you need to know that it's, Percy Jackson on the other team. What does that even change? Are you going to play different?
I've seen arguments from other content creators saying that they want the chat to stay there because it's good content. And frankly, I don't...
shut up.
Yeah, that's my take as well.
Shut
I
up.
frankly don't care about your content compared to the overall like game state. And I think your teammates, so there's always this little argument where people say, but you can just mute the chat. That's not going to change the problem, right? I'm not going to sit here and be sad and offended because someone said something evil to me online. Like, I don't really care. But maybe a guy on my team is on the edge, right? Or maybe he wants to have the argument forth and back through the whole game. And now the Heartbreacher is AFK trying to shit talk the guy on the other team.
Yes.
And we just get a worse experience than if we just, as a team, tried to fight this anonymous group of 5 people that we had no clue who were. Yep. We end up winning. We figure out, these were actually like good players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super proud of it. Or we lose and we see these good players and we're like, okay, we're not going to take this loss as hard because this is like a bunch of pro players and we're all a bunch of old goblins.
Mm-hmm.
I just only see positives in it, and I'm so sad they haven't done it.
And you would think it would be easier to implement as well. And I can, whoever's working this at Ubisoft, if they see this, I guarantee you they want to choke me right now, because we talked about this for how long, Zeronic. We've talked about the first iteration, the second one. I mean, I guarantee you they would be like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like, but honestly, I think that is the best solution personally. You can still use third parties as long as they agree not to show player names while the match is going on, or maybe at all. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Yeah, I think that's the best implementation of a streamer mode. And
just a game like ranked mode, right? Like,
it
removes the issue
need to be everything.
You don't even need a privacy mode anymore.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So open invitation to Ubi if they have anyone that can answer this question.
Here's a thing that I would take a step further. I would be okay. I would fully support Ubisoft coming out and saying, as of right now, all third-party tracking software has been disabled by default for all players. If you want them to be able to track your data, you can opt into it in-game. But for right now, by default, it is off. I personally, again, what good comes from it, guys? What good comes from it? I mean,
the only good argument is the self-policed anti-cheating that we're doing, which is bullshit, because that shouldn't be the player's main concern, right? Like, if you truly believe someone is cheating, clip it and ship it, and then that should be enough.
Yeah.
You send a report and they look through it. If they find something, well, good. If they don't, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
And then leave it at that, because like the idea that there was end of last season a ton of spin botters and then the games were rough, that shouldn't dictate how the rest of the game is being run.
I think that small percentage shouldn't. You're right. I do. And people always say it's not a small percentage. Yes, because when we're playing at the top tiers of gameplay, we are the small percentage. People don't realize that. It's like it's hard to make that known in people's heads. They can't understand that. We live in this echo chamber.
They're not going to get the same attention that cheated. Like the ones that are cheating in an obvious way are not going to get the same attention if we can't see who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see a downside. Like the only thing that would be necessary if this happens is that Ubi has to do more in terms of manual work when it comes to cheating.
True.
The like Battle Eye's doing a good job with a lot of things, but there are people that stick around for a week, 2 weeks, queuing up to 50 games. That's a lot of people affected, right? Like that's at least 250 people having a bad experience. At least if we're assuming that they're not solo queued. So yeah, something needs to happen there. Speedy and fast.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a streamer mode tangent there, but I don't know. I don't see how this gets rolled out to the general public, and it's supposed to be a full rollout this season. I think that's on the roadmap, is that privacy mode would be introduced this season. And I think I guess to bring it back to why I think that route is better is because as long as they put a string of numbers at the end, it is not going to be an effective streamer mode unless like 50% or more of the players decide to use it. And I don't think that 50%.
There's no way.
No, they're not.
No way.
Even then, you can just add people.
Oh yeah, that's I'm assuming.
Can you turn off friend requests inside your Ubisoft Connect?
No, you can't. It's the
That's
worst
so
thing at all.
Strange.
Yep.
Like if I go to my settings and then I look at it and I go.
There is nothing.
I don't know. Is there a privacy section?
Nope.
I don't know. Something.
Anyone can add you for whatever reason. It's the same reason that we once had like I think I got like 3,000 or 4,000 friend requests.
That's right. I remember that. That was awful.
In 20 seconds. Like my Ubisoft Connect just crashed. I could barely load it up. When I opened my friends list, it was just stuck. It took like an hour and a half to delete that shit.
I remember that.
And why we can't turn that off, I don't know. And
that's so strange. We can't do this. Like we can't just go to settings. We can't.
You can't even turn friend requests off in Siege either.
Why can't we do this?
Because
why
Ubisoft
do we have to have it?
I'm not gonna say it. Ubisoft. I'm not a fan of Ubisoft Connect. Listen. Uplay.
I don't think anyone is.
Uplay wasn't great. Uplay had its issues. Yeah. But I don't know that I've ever been a part of something to see a supposed upgrade that was as much of a downgrade as going from Uplay to Ubisoft Connect. I don't know that I've ever seen that. That bad of a rollout.
Ubi Connect is the second best platform that Ubisoft has ever made.
You know what here's how I give them the benefit of the doubt is that I'm guessing that they were like, listen, if we're going to go crossplay, we have to switch our platform and we cannot do it with Uplay. We have to come up from the ground up. And that's where Ubisoft Connect really was motivated from. But here we are with no crossplay. For Honor got crossplay or is getting it very, very soon. They announced that. And I agree. It's a different game. You know, Extraction has crossplay. Yeah. So,
and I still can't on the overlay. It's been a year, 12 months. I still cannot buy credits. Still to this day, you just can't buy credits. I have to log into my Ubisoft management, like the little Ubisoft website thing, and do it that way if I want credits.
I've had the overlay turned off.
Have my money. I had to turn it off since the new Ubisoft Connect. Is that what it's called? Ubisoft Connect came out. I just went into settings. I went, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't have it. It's useless. The overlay does nothing. If I want to invite friends, I alt tab.
And then you get you get a notification so big on your screen. If you have notifications on it, it takes up like a third of the top right of your screen.
I've noticed that.
And they added this news thing where you can congratulate your friend on playing Coastline. Like
what? I didn't know that.
Have you not seen that?
No.
There's this in the overlay. There's this feed. I don't know if it's still there. But it'll come with like little updates that oh, your friend reached a new rank, or this and this and this happened. And it's the weirdest thing. It's like their own little social thing that I don't think anyone has ever actually used.
That could be brilliant for Favela. Like if you could see, like, hey, your friend just played your friend just played a ranked game on Favela. Are you okay? Talk to me, buddy.
Send them a message. Be like, all right, how'd you go, bro? Jeez, look, that's not bad, but I didn't even know that existed because I just turned the stupid thing off, and it barely works even when I had it on. So I just gave up, honestly.
Wait, someone in my chat just said Ubi doesn't want people to send them clips. They said they prefer the reporting option. That is not true.
Although to be fair, that's what their Twitter little, I don't know if it's a bot or a real person, the support person always says, thanks so much for tagging us in this video. Did you make sure you press the report button as well? Like, bitch, of course they press the report button. They also download the video for you and sent it to you.
You have to be fair there, right? It's the same as when you call the tech support and people like, we tried turning it on and off and getting people go, yeah, I have, and then they haven't, and they turn it on and off and it works, right?
Right.
Like, there's a reason they have to do it that way because
there's a script and a rhyme and a rhythm,
right? Like you have to follow a line and you have to just expect that whoever you're talking to probably haven't done anything to start with.
Chloe's saying in chat that they have turned off the ability to submit clips now. So now if you have screenshots or toxicity or cheating reports, because as you can imagine, Chloe does this all the time, and you go to the support, you are now unable to submit them, which is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so basically they're like,
well, that's what I believe is being insinuated by that.
Well, wait, this is important as well. If you report them to Ubi support, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You can also report them to the Siege team. That's another thing, right?
Are you saying anybody can? Like, I'm Timmy.
Yeah. Like, there are trollers or whatever you want to call them on Twitter. Like, there are people just sitting there looking at stuff that comes on Twitter, right? Like, it's gonna get seen. One of those third-party overlay R6 analysts or whatever, had that like weird wannabe legal paper report thing that said he's banned based on TOS something. They started using some like specific tag.
A hashtag now. Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha.
Like there's gonna be a person somewhere who just sees a feed of that hashtag.
I hope
like, that has to happen.
I hope.
I'd like them to market that a little more. Like, hey, if you use this hashtag, goes to the player behavior, whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Blah, blah. They are absolute shite at like letting people know how to do it.
Chloe, find that hashtag. Find whatever that hashtag is.
Ubisoft support the people sitting there. I think if you send them a clip, and no offense, a lot of them probably sit with like 9 million games. I've had no clue. Like you could show them a full auto Cali and they go like, "What's wrong here?" Right?
Yeah.
We've seen that before where like there's something obvious in a clip and the support Twitter is responding going, can you explain a little bit more what's happening here? That's probably why the clips might not need to go there because the people watching them actually have no clue.
Yeah.
But there are people banning through Siege, right? There has to be someone sitting there looking through stuff. It would be nice if they could maybe clarify a bit how we do that, and especially how little Timmy needs to report a clip of someone spin butting. Because that shouldn't be that damn difficult.
One thing I do want to throw out, I just thought of this, as we're talking from PC perspectives, I have heard there is a pretty brutal sound issue on console with the rollout of the new season. So just want to mention that if you're on console and you're like, they're sitting here talking about the best season ever, I can't even play ranked right now. We hear you. We get you. Sorry about that.
We hear you, unlike you don't hear the game. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully that gets fixed soon, and you'll be able to join us in our praise of Demon Vale. I gotta know though, what site are you guys going to on the one times? Like, what are you running like one on everything? Are you using like multiples? What's default?
New
for you?
Hollow or Russian Reflex? And I'm still
how do I see it? I have the game open. Hold on, I got the game open.
Is New Hollow the Vortex, the Mozzie?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's
let me go to
probably my
defenders.
favorite as well.
I want them to change the Russian one back to the normal size.
We had that discussion, yeah.
That thing is so thick, I can't even see. Like, if I'm holding an angle, I can't see the person peeking.
Do you think if they did that, though, that it's clear that that's the best one-time sight in the game?
Then make all of them smaller. Like, they don't have to be that big.
I use Holo A, which I believe is the default Holo.
The old Holo.
Yeah.
It's easier to see with the sight in real life than it is in game. And that just shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's something to make you see and aim and hold stuff, right? Like, it shouldn't be a challenge. There shouldn't be a balancing thing in terms of how big the dot is. Then sure, you can change the opacity, but at some point it's going to be too hard to see the opacity on it, and then if the color doesn't fit the back, like just make them smaller, or give us like a couple of different options, like small, medium, large, in terms of the thickness. I don't get why we can't have like a 4-pixel dot in the Holo instead of it being like a massive round ball.
I don't know why it has to be so difficult to begin with. Like, remember that we had this discussion about, like, you know, them balancing operators based off sites and everything, and we had a little contention about whether it did, whether it shouldn't, whether we should have all, and now we finally do, and whatever, all of those types of things. For me, that was a crappy part of the game anyway. Why do I, before I even load in, have to worry about whether or not I can see through my sight and which site is best to pick, especially now that I have options for all? And why do we have to have conversations, whether it's Holo A, Holo D, whatever, yada yada? Why do we have to have these conversations when I should be able to pick 5 of the 7 and be pretty damn fucking comfortable? Because the game isn't meant to be about whether or not I can confidently look through a fucking site or not. Like, that's not the game. Like, that to me is just an impediment to me before I even get into a game and aim down sights. Like, it seems ridiculous to me that we have to have this conversation.
It makes sense with magnification, right? But that's it. The reticle size, no.
Yes. With the reticle, I apologize. Yes.
I don't know why it's like that, because arguably all the sites that have a point are the best on paper, right? Like every site that has a point, because that comes to the tiniest point, I guess, and will obscure as little as possible where you want to shoot. So an ACOG is better than the Russian ACOG, whatever that one is called, ACOG B or whatever they call that one, because that one has a big circle in the middle, whereas the ACOG is a nice clean triangle, so you can always see where your bullet's going to hit. Whereas none of the other ones, like any scope with a circle, you can hold a line where you can't see what you're shooting at. Like, I do that fairly often. I'll hold like a line into a window, and I'll just wait for the bottom of it to change color, and then hope I'm on the head. I don't know what I'm actually shooting at, right?
I mean,
just change your transparency, Alex. You know there's a transparency slider in the accessibility. Like, shut up.
30. It doesn't help.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's. I do think the new red dot is getting a little bit slept on. I think that it does have the problem what you're talking about with the dot, and that it is a solid dot compared to like Holo or something like that. But I like it.
I love that side as well.
I like that one. I like the Russian reflex. I like old Holo, and I like new Holo. Those are like the 4 that I'm like between and trying to figure out. I don't know if I'm gonna have a main one. I'm probably gonna switch. Like, maybe I don't know. Like, I could see myself putting the Russian reflex on Russian weapons, and doing the other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like having
thematic.
A little bit of variety.
I like it.
Yeah, it would be nice though if you think about the new Holo, for example, or the new aim point. So that exact version comes in like 3 different reticle sizes in real life, right? You have a 2 MOA, a 4 MOA, and a 6 MOA, and that's just the size of the dot, minutes of angle. We could just have that. We could just have 3 different sizes. A super small, because I know there are people that would prefer not to have the smallest. There are people that would rather have a little bit of a bigger one, right? And shouldn't take that away from them just because I'd like a small one. I just don't see why that's a balance thing. You're giggling. This was not a PP joke.
No.
No,
I don't have that issue.
She's probably giggling because she knows that I'm the boomer that wants the big reticle. Like I'm the guy in Valorant that's got the ugliest crosshair.
I was gonna ask
You
because
just got a cross going like across the whole screen.
I've seen some ugly mother effing reticles on Valorant where I'm like, how are you seeing the person that you're shooting? So you're right, there is probably an audience out there, unfortunately, to the demise of my eyes, that want shit like that. So yes, I can't argue. And of course, accessibility comes to that, yada yada. So whatever. But I mean, I just don't think that we need to have a discussion about reticles, about what site we need to be picking, when now we have the option for all, at least on the one times, which that should have happened a long time ago. And there shouldn't be a how much space do I have on my screen issue. That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous conversation. Shouldn't be happening. Make every site as uniform as you can based off of whatever realism you want to hit. And that's the end of the fucking discussion.
Pistol red dot is a good size.
Yeah. You're talking like Ella's? Yeah. Yep. If we all had that kind of like ability to see through it and shit like that, yeah, man. Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
You know, I know this isn't about Demon Vale necessarily, but we're talking about, we mentioned Valorant there, and it made me think of a recent conversation. I think it was Pengu that sparked it, talking about crouch walking and the balance of it, and then the silent walk option in the game. So I think I'm paraphrasing here, so keep that in mind. But I think what he was saying is that he thinks it should be looked at of making crouch walking louder, but allowing the alt walk on PC or just slow walk on console to be silent. What do you guys think? I guess maybe it may even be two different topics here. Do we need a silent walk, and do you think crouch walking should be nerfed in any way? I know this is a little bit out of nowhere, but I thought about it with the Valorant discussion.
I don't like you can do both simultaneously, which is where his problem with it comes from, I believe, because you can crouch and silent walk at the same time. So what if you remove the opportunity to dual use those hotkeys together, which would then remove the problem upon which he is quote unquote having? Because if you silent walk, you are quote unquote pretty quiet. You are, for the most part, pretty quiet. Yeah, I can hear you shuffling and leaning and all those kind of things. Sure, no problems. But the crouch, I can hear you crouching if you don't silent step at the same time. Because a lot of people hold both of those keys at once. So if you jumped into a custom now and you just crouch without silent walking, and alt walking, as some people will call it, then you're good. Like, you will hear that person crouch walking and shuffling towards you. But if they do both, you won't, quote unquote, hear them as much. So I think
with that solution.
That is.
Controller,
all you have to do is move the controller slower.
Yeah. So what happens? Yeah. So there's a problem with just a solution, because then you crouch, and when you move your controller at tiniest amount, you'll go full speed.
Right.
In crouch, where you won't do that while standing up. That will become a weird feeling when you play, right? You'll just move your stick and then boom, full speed, whereas
which you shouldn't be allowed to do on console. Is it okay that it's different?
I don't think so. I don't think you can have two different movement metrics in that.
Well, I mean, we do already in the game. You can't lean without ADSing.
Yeah, you can't lean. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not.
That's very different to movement speed. It would be the same as if you're. Let's assume your sensitivity changed every time you crouched on PC.
But what if you just moved it? What if you removed the two hotkeys being used together on PC? What if on console, because of how console is built, you can do either or?
But then you have then we're only fixing it for PC. That seems like a weird way to fix the problem if we only decide to fix it on PC. Because if it's a problem on PC, it's most likely one on console as well. I don't think they crouch walk less than we do.
But they can't what we would consider alt walk. They can't press a hotkey that makes them go the slowest that you are able to go. They can slowly move their stick less, which would make them walk slow. Sure, okay, well then the audio could be altered on both in some way, yeah.
But then it's a separate fix. We don't need
for both, yeah.
Like, I think it's much better to make normal sprinting louder, make normal walking louder, make crouch slower. Like, normal crouch overall your movement speed make that slower in general.
How fast is it now? Like I genuinely couldn't tell you.
Fast enough that you can crouch from spawn to site and you'll have enough time.
That's my thing, is like it's viable to clear large spaces while crouch walking with your sight up.
Okay.
And that's a really strong position to be in the game. I mean, you're making very little noise. Your sights are up. You've got full accuracy. Like you can still, jiggle lean and all that. Like,
they just make it so crouch walk is slow speed only, like full slow speed. That would be better than it to make it so there is slow speed in standing and no slow speed in crouch, because then your slow speed standing is gonna feel weird compared to standing and crouch with your movement speed when you move on a controller. And on PC, you just either half the speed we have now at crouch, make it like uncomfortably slow to move. You shouldn't be able to push a hallway. Like think about this: you're crouched in a hallway, and you can just glide your way through it crouched, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that probably shouldn't be.
That's all. Yeah. I'd probably never thought of how ridiculous that is to begin with, because it's always been like quote unquote in the game. So I've never really thought about it. But I also then think like, I hate the realism argument. I think it's crap.
Yeah,
it's not a realistic game. But if you were to use that as a foundation to say, well, an operator shouldn't be able to use their legs in such a way for such a long period of time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you did a slight stamina argument, you know what I mean? They should be able to move that fast for that long whilst in a crouch position with that kind of gear on. I don't get what the argument is you need to make for it, but now that I think about it from that way, it is a little ridiculous that you can do that across an entirety of a map.
There's not enough downsides to it.
Right.
The crouch walk.
Yeah,
You're not slow enough that if someone peeks you, you're at a massive disadvantage because you're crouched.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think your overall movement speed should just be less. If I see someone crouched, it should be like an in between if they were prone and standing, right? Like if you're prone and I see you, you're not getting out of the prone again.
No, you're struggling to get out of that. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think if you peek someone and they're crouched and they don't win the gunfight, it should be rough.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree.
Then we have some other issues with, there are a lot of weird lines of sights where maybe on attack it's going to be real awkward to fight these things if you can't crouch at a certain speed, like the new Kiba barriers. If you can't crouch peek those right at a decent speed, how are you ever going to deal with people there? The same, like maybe it balances out that defenders are going to have a harder time playing behind a shield.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it happens to defenders too.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them try, like just mess around with it, do a test server with crouch at half speed, and then see what happens.
Crouch at half speed, and I think if you go crouch at half speed, maybe you don't mess with the sound initially, but I think both might be on the table. Honestly, see where that puts you.
Try and maybe we'll like it, maybe we don't.
Nobody's gonna listen. I can tell you right now, it's gonna feel really crazy. If they did the crouch speed down to half speed, it's gonna feel really bad. I don't know that anybody's gonna be like, "Ooh, that feels amazing." That's gonna be a problem with it being a test server. But I think it could be it could make the game better in a lot of ways. Like,
I mean, they added inertia to Tarkov. We can take crouch.
Did they? I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's awesome! It makes it so much better.
Does it? Okay. Okay.
It made it less COD-like, is my understanding. Like, just a lot of it.
Well, that is a plus, because I keep using the COD argument 99 times in Siege, and I'm so sick of it. So yes. I don't remember the crouch spamming, the lean spamming that we used to have, and I kept saying to everyone, them making that slower is not a bad thing. I don't want Call of Duty mechanics in the game. Like, this is meant to be, before you peek me, I want you to try and use your utility to have an advantage in this engagement that you're about to take. Not, oh, you just quick peeked me 3 times, I missed all of my bullets because you're lightning fast, like all of those things. If crouch, of which crouch spamming I don't believe is as much as an issue as quick peeking was, but it absolutely would, stymie a lot of the issues that we have with people crouch walking in and everything. I mean, how many Ash crouch walkers do you get in a day? I at least get 3. At least in a day of games, I at least get 3 crouch walking IQ LNG users or whatever, you know what I mean?
I either sprint or crouch. There is no in between. I'm either full sprint or I'm crouch.
Yeah, there isn't enough downside. You're right.
Okay.
Jess, what do you say to people regarding the quick peeking and stuff like that? What do you say to them to say that you're compressing the skill gap? That is a skill element that I should be allowed to use, and by you dumbing it down, the drop shotting, the quick peeking, and all that, you're compressing the skill gap in the game.
I quick peek. Without a doubt, I quick peek. I always quick peek an angle before I then want to face check it or whatever. Let's say I don't have a drone. I quick peek without a doubt. I will use that mechanic always. It's slower than it was. I think it is in an area where it is not so ungodly quick, and I can also then re-enter the peak almost instantaneously, of which that 0.3 of a millisecond, I've taken my finger off and then go to reapply it to shoot again. It's too late. They've already re-peaked again to shoot. That's now not so much of an issue. So I wanted to just lower the threshold between that first quick peek and the second quick peek, and then them engaging in the gunfight with me, or me being able to move away from that angle because I've seen this person quick peek and confirm my position, and I should be allowed to get that half a second to move somewhere else or choose my decision in that gunfight, which is still very quick, but not as quick as it was. So I don't want them to be removed from their skill. I want them to not have the opportunity within 0.1 of a second to be able to look like a freaking ghost on my screen. That's it. You just shouldn't be allowed to look like a ghost.
That was the problem with quick peeking. If people are, if they're mentioning it as if the skill gap is getting low, I'm not buying that, because you go in and you spend an hour or whatever long it takes you to do that, and now you have an advantage that is so big that no matter the skill of the person on the other side, he could not win the fight.
Correct.
It wasn't a skill. It was abusing a mechanic. I'm all for doing that. I'll abuse everything I can as long as it's not a glitch, because there's no way in hell I'm taking a fair fight. But
exactly.
It's delusional to say that when doing those like super quick peaks, if we go all the way back to Ash QD EA peaks where you like flopped out and flopped back in, you could get a shot off before your hand was visible. I have plenty of clips of this from both sides where I see the front of the gun and I'm dead. The other guy is fully peeked out and sees everything. The camera angle or camera position adjustment helped. Moving the camera to the center of the neck instead of the shoulder that it was peeking from. That helped a lot. Slowing it down helped a lot. But it felt good getting those shots. I just don't think any player that was competent at that time has not lost anything by it being removed. Like, they didn't get worse. If they did, it was because they relied on that to do something. And then I don't think they're in a position to mention anything about skill, because then you're missing so much other stuff, right? Like, there are infinite map knowledge. Most of us don't even know the maps proper yet after 7 years, right? It didn't add a whole lot in terms of flavor to watching people play. Either you did it and won, or you got clapped by it and sat there thinking, this sucks.
I think I'm in agreement with you guys, and I take a little bit of a different angle though, and this comes from a conversation we were having last night while playing. Actually, I think that talking about crouch walking, talking about leaning, I personally don't think that leaning should be used while strafing. I think that leaning should be used to hold an angle. Like if you play Insurgency Sandstorm, when you lean in that game, it's not viable to lean and strafe. Like, once you lean, you get slowed down so much. But that's going too far for most people. I get it. But here's my thing with all this, where I'm coming from with this conversation. As long as all these mechanical skills exist in the game, for the average player, they're never going to dive into the depth that I think this game really deserves, because the most viable strat is just to go and shoot people in the face. So you're never going to see them learn how to really manipulate the map, learn how to manipulate the gadgets, the utility, and all that. We see that at the highest level because everybody there has that mechanical skill. And that's why we see that, the pros, all that stuff matters. But for the average player in ranked, in my opinion, the most viable and the easiest way to win in ranked is hyper aggressive, win all three of your defenses, peek everything, sprint towards the sound, use the mechanics in the game to get kills, and then win one attack round. That has always been the easiest way to win in Siege, in my opinion, and nothing has ever changed that. And I don't think anything will change that so long as we have high rate of fire, low recoil weapons, and you're able to manipulate the mechanics in the game to be such a deadly a deadly person in a gunfight, I guess is what you can say. But is that a bad thing? Is that the reason? Is that part of Siege's success? Because let's be real here. Siege is a mainstream game. Siege has a huge player base on console. Siege took a lot of players away from Call of Duty. Is that part of the reason that it's been so successful? If they would have really leaned into the utility aspect and made you feel like you're strafing in quicksand, would that have turned a lot of people away from the game? Those are very valid questions to be had.
Yes, it would have. This is the biggest thing, is because I complain a lot that people play like Call of Duty. Even today, before the podcast, I'm streaming and I had an entire team, and I don't know if it's attack or repick or whatever it was, but they just took the most ridiculous composition that it was clear they did not want to open any walls. And we're taking ADSs to deny, people grenading stuff off the wall, Kaid, we got bandits, we got everything. Like, we're like, yo, we're turtling down, there's no way they get in, kind of thing, yada, yada. They can't open any walls, and then, they're running in 3 of them in one staircase or whatever. And we're like, well, we should be able to shut this down, and we can't, right? Someone loses their gunfight over an Astro. Okay, shit, now we got to recover, try and do this. Now, is that a flaw in our strategy? Sure. We're only 3 stacked, so we're relying on, a couple of randoms, and that's rough sometimes, and the communication's low, so I get it. But I hate to think that with the success of Team Deathmatch, you see how many people have loved Team Deathmatch, and the one bit of feedback I've seen in my chat 9 times out of 10 about is like, I can just shoot. Like, I can go and I can just shoot, and there's nothing else, and I can impact walls, and I just shoot. And I'm like, if that's all you want, if you want to just shoot and you want to become a Team Deathmatch addict, like, go ahead. Like, it is now there for you to do that thing. Fine. If that's what you get off on, go do your thing. But the moment we're in a game and, like, you refuse to open a wall a single round, or you refuse to drone anything or anything like that, and you expect to win off of gun skill alone, like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking say something. I know however the game allows you to win, you should be allowed to play. I get that. We shouldn't gatekeep how people play. But holy shit, is it annoying when you can see the ideal way to play that particular round and the way that can get you, quote unquote, the most consistent success for that round. And it's frustrating when people don't want to play that way.
Well, that is probably combined with the fact that if we're talking ranked, there's very little value to always doing your best because people have so many accounts. A lot of this is like combined. Like, people will jump on a Smurf and just chill, and you'll be on your main and you'll try your absolute best, whereas you're basically just messing around, right?
Right. If you're on a Smurf, you're like, I'm not journing, I'm on a Smurf.
I'll just crouch entry and see what happens. It's also a bit weird to call it like COD play, because COD at a high level is actually insanely structured and much more than Siege ranked is for most people, right? Like, there's a lot of utility usage in COD as well that has to land very specific places if we're talking COD.
Sure, yeah, we're just using it as a generic term.
It's just fun that's the default in terms of like shitting on people that are a bit too aggressive or not thinking. It's just TDM players, right? They're just there for gunfights, and then they forget that, well, when they die with thermite trying to entry frag, none of us can open the wall instead of them, and we just spent a minute trying to get everything cleared so they could do their job, and they kind of just don't care. But I think that'll always be an issue in solo queue no matter what.
Yeah, okay.
You'll see it like in Dota, you see it as well, right? I don't know about League, but I assume it's the same. In CS, it's the same. You'll all of a sudden have a guy who just says, you know what, I'm playing B. No matter if there's 3 other people playing B, because that's what I do. I play B. Or I'm gonna ult. Well, we already have 2 people in ult. Yeah, but I'm only an ulter. I just ult all the time. You see the same thing in Siege, right? Yana's taken, Sledge is taken.
Yeah.
They get on Finca, and then the 4th guy's like, I'm gonna find something else that's a fragger. And the last guy's sitting there thinking, well, I guess I have to play Heartbreach now.
But no one gets the shit off the wall for you, even though they've got 4 grenades. The shit is still, you get there and the shit's still on the wall, and you're like, okay.
They're not gonna use the nades. They're gonna keep walking until they get in a fight, and then they're gonna scream at you for the wall not being open.
Yep.
But that's not a game issue. That's just, we just suck at as people in terms of working together with people.
Can't we lead them to water though? Can't we be a little bit more efficient at leading them to water?
Yeah,
and I think that goes to the point of what Flank said.
That will happen if we have a working ranking system. if our ranking system makes sense, you're gonna be with people who put in the same amount of effort and is as skilled as you, right? So you're gonna get to play with people that really want to win, that are more worried about, I'll actually try to help you so you can help me so we can win. Instead of just sitting and throwing mud at each other trying to see who can get the most frags. Because right now there's no downside to, like, if you lose a rank game, just play on your other account, right? Or people just buy one because you can do that as well. I think all of that changes if the ranking system, like, hopefully rank 3.0, hopefully reputation system, and those things are gonna help. We were talking about it on stream today that back in year 2 is the last time I remember there was almost always comms in rank when you played solo. People really tried to make sure that, okay, can you make a reinforcement? Can you reinforce here? Are you getting hatches? I don't think I ever hear that in rank now. Like, ever.
Yeah. I get more comms in Valorant where I actually don't need as many comms.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about that? Like, I was thinking the other day. So I was solo queuing and I was playing as Maverick. And me and a Thermite on Clubhouse, without saying a word, both spawned in. It was a cash attack. Both went up there to the platform wall. I did the Maverick, cleared it. He opens it up. That's a lot of coordination, unspoken coordination to have in a game, in my opinion. Like, when we talk about Call of Duty and stuff like that, I've never experienced that in Call of Duty between two teammates without being able to talk. And I know it's as simple as me putting a hole and then grenading on the other side. But I think there's something to be said for that. Like, and maybe, I don't know, like, it just kind of made me take a step back and be like, man, Siege players are crazy. Like, we can go and, like, do that kind of intricate thing together that without even saying a word, and we both know what each other are thinking. I know it doesn't work like that all the time. That's like a perfect example in solo queue, but
don't you think that has more to do with the fact that that's just what the operator has to do? So if you've played a small amount, it like, none of you really sat there and thought about it, right? You just ran over, had to remove some stuff, and the Thermite is like, well, my job is to place this thing, and then after that I can shoot shit. But he didn't have a lot of options, right? Like, he probably had to wait for you.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, okay, so I throw the grenade and he's ready to put it on as soon as the grenade goes off and clears the bandit charge. If he waits a little bit, gives him an opportunity to put something else. Yeah. So that's kind of, just went really smooth. It was like bam, 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 open. Like, and I was like, that's pretty good for a solo queue without comms and stuff. That's pretty good what just happened right there. And, even playing Valorant, I mean, yeah, you get some requests as far as like where you want smokes and stuff like that, but there's really nothing in there that I can think of that's like that relies on teammates to go through a checklist and do some busy work for the round like that.
I think that will come in Valorant. I think Valorant is still way too young because you have it in CS, right? In CS, even just when you're playing public matchmaking, like global level, you will have people say what they're smoking, or I'll pop flash this spot, and then people know where to flood and how to go in. You're gonna get the one teammate that has music playing and doesn't care. But in general, most people understand like very basic takes. And it's all just bleed through from what we've seen in comp. Because we all go in after watching comp trying to do what our favorite player did or what we saw our favorite team do. And then over time, it starts mimicking it, but in a very poor way, right? It's the same Clubhouse CCTV. In Diamond Rank, it's almost always the same take. You open a garage and a server wall, and then you do a little bit of everyone standing still and see who dies, and then you push from garage and try to plant, right? Like, it's not some magical high-end teamwork, but we all kind of know where to stand because that's what we've seen everyone else do. And it works a lot of the times. Then when you get to more complicated things like maybe open area on bank, it all falls apart and just becomes, you just hope your team shoots more than the other team.
It is. I mean, I had a game on Outback today where one of our, and again, the bottom frag doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're not fragging, but then you do other stuff. You might drone, you might plant, whatever. But our bottom rated player on the team kept picking Habana. And you probably think that's great. Opening walls. No, the motherfucker didn't expel a single X-Cairo any round. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, he's taking Hibana for what I assume is to frag, because he hasn't expelled a single X-Cairo any of the rounds. I've seen him drone maybe once to get himself into the building. No comms, of course, silent, no mic kind of, gameplay here. And I thought to myself, why is he taking that gun, which doesn't have a lot of ammunition? He's not hitting a lot of shots, clearly. He's losing a lot of his gunfights. If he really wanted to be a fragger, he has the opportunity to pick a plethora of other operators to go with, because he's not going to use the gadget anyway. And a bunch of others have flashes or breaching charges or whatever else he wanted to get with that. So for me, it was shocking because he was losing a lot of gunfights. I don't know if it was recoil related or whatever it was, or, magazine size related, and he wasn't achieving anything with the ability. So I find these incredibly frustrating moments where I think to myself, well, if you want to just frag because you can't do anything else, and you don't want to ask for help, or you don't want to do this, then take something better at least. Like, it became like a pseudo 4v5 after the third round, because like this player every round took Hibana and didn't open anything. I had to take Buck hard breach charge because we not only needed soft breach, but we also needed another hard breach. And I was like, shit, bro, like I got to do both.
He's been watching late 2020 Shaiko and just wants just wants to do that.
I mean, look, this is the frustrating thing is like, I know, did we all do the learning videos that they advertised at Six Invitational?
Yep.
Game plan, exactly. So we've all done game plan.
Top players, like Zeronic. Top players, like Zeronic.
I'm going to have to clip my own little bit there where it says JessGOAT.
It's so good.
We've done some of those, and I did, privately message to the people, involved in that and say, I really love this. Is there a chance it gets ported into the game in the future? Or there's an option for you to click it in game and it, opens up a browser, and then you have a really good opportunity to go, oh, wow, that's actually how you play as Army, or that's how you play whatever this, you know what I mean? Like, and it has all the different operators with game plan videos beside them, whatever. Because there has to be some way that we can lead them to water. They might not drink, but at that point, we have to provide some way to go, these are the different options when you play Hibana. These are the ways you can play. Or with Maverick, these are the things that you as a Maverick player need to get done, especially if there's a Kaid on the hatches on Clubhouse. Or let's look at this map. Wow, there's ball denial, no one can get it. You can make a little hole, put a grenade. Like, we can show all these like mini lessons and to say, this is how you can use that operator, or how you should. And you can pick all of these different ways on different map, different circumstances, rather than I have this poor little Hibana player who doesn't know how to eject a single X-Cairo, doesn't use it, doesn't know why they're losing, doesn't know why they can't complete the objective in their own mind. And at the very least, we've led them to water, which has been the very problem from the beginning. We've always complained about the tutorial system. The biggest gripe I have in the entirety of the game outside of cheaters is that I can't bring a new person in to the game without going, wow, the learning curve is pretty freaking high. So like, maybe watch some streams, or where can I learn this? I don't fucking know. Go to a YouTube video. I don't have time to go through hundreds of hours of content with you. You know what I mean? Like, if that is my best way to bring in a new person in the game, then I've failed to integrate that person properly into the game. You need hundreds of hours to learn. Hundreds.
But a big problem is that a lot of the people you were talking about that you meet in ranked aren't people that didn't have hundreds of hours. Right? I'm completely with you. Onboarding in Siege is not where it needs to be, and it has to be better. But if you start playing Siege and you like the type of game, I feel like you're gonna get hooked, and there's so much for you to learn that you're always gonna feel some sort of reward. Even if you're losing, you're gonna be like, oh shit, next round I need to try this. I need to try this, right? You're always learning something. The problem is the people that have played like 200 to 300 hours and are stagnant, and just sitting there going, this is my thing now. Well, I do this. I crouch in, and then I kill the guy on long hallway, and I hope that's enough.
I think that brings me back to what I said before. I just feel like it's maybe, if you could look at Siege's history, you could make the argument that it's always been a little bit too viable to just play super aggro on defense and get 3 wins, and then luck into 1 attack win and rank up that way. That's way too viable of a way to play this game. So
I think we could try and put more emphasis on objective or teamwork, or even if it's not objective, then teamwork to isolate roamers. Let's say it's a heavy roam strat. Like, how do you respond to a heavy roam strat? And there's a video that says you could have people droning you and 2 of you could push and that you could do this thing called trading. And I mean, like, we could do the bare fucking basics. Like, we could do the bare basics. And I know you will say that people won't follow it, and if they wanted to, they'd learn it. But at the very least, we would skip maybe 10 steps.
Yeah, you'll save 1 in 10, and that's still an improvement.
That's an improvement.
I think we gotta take a little bit of responsibility as creators as well, because we do upload every single highlight of a 1-tap and almost circle jerk over, hitting that 1-tap and spawn, and like it's being glorified doing these.
Sure.
You get 3 1-taps in a round, and people are like, oh my god, insane. But you don't show like the 4 other rounds where you got spawn peak. Right? It's like no one cares about the guy who sat on site and just held down the fort. No one wants to watch that.
The
right?
ballad of the anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that interesting to like as well if you're a streamer. I know plenty of people that if they're not streaming, they'll play very, very different than if they're streaming, because they just feel like they have to provide some sort of action and content. Instead of maybe sometimes just holding the one thing that you're expecting to hold, right?
Yeah.
People get a frag and they're like, oh, I'll go see if I can get another one, because if I do, I can clip it and it's good for you too. And then it's really hard for us to then blame a random in the team for doing the same. Like if we go hunting for content, we can't be mad that other people do the same.
Well, yeah. I think there's definitely an argument there. I don't necessarily lump myself into that category, but I do understand. I think that's the general conversation for creators at large.
Yeah, I think as a whole, yeah. I was gonna turn around and be like, I played Maestro on bottom floor and I stayed alive to the end and I shot every drone with my friggin' laser, like, you know what I mean? Like, that was me today, like, boy, bitch. So,
but on the other hand, we also get 1 or 2 kills and then we say, yeah, well, I did my thing, right? Like, I did my part. We could probably do slightly better as well.
Sure, yeah.
It's just, I feel bad for the guy who might end up in, let's say, like my next game that is plat something, right? And he just finished his placements and he isn't actually at that, like he had good placements and is a little bit out of his depth right now. And then he's playing with 4 other people that have 3,000 hours and know every map, every operator. And that guy is only like 200 hours into the game. Expecting to know like half of what's actually being done and why it's being done is going to be rough for him. And
so maybe we could have a video. Like, if I could turn around and just say, like, if you opened your overlay, there's a video of to how to deny a plant, like maybe like after this game, just like quickly watch it. At least then I'm providing solution focused thinking, or I'm providing a method upon which I can't just complain about that person either in my stream or to them in the game.
I don't think it sticks well enough. I think a lot of this has to be learned through failure, because I think that's what's going to stay. It's like you can watch
but then there's so many operators, they just avoid it. Like, I can see myself because I don't understand League of Legends. The skill ceiling in that just looks so high. I don't think in my lifetime I will ever get to a point of learning that game. And I could see myself trying top lane, getting absolutely fucking obliterated for like 5 games, and then just going, you know what? I actually think I'd be better in bot. Because it's fucking easier to say that. It's easier to do that.
Why is it doing so well? Right? Like, why does those games, why does Dota and League and StarCraft, why do they do so well?
They have a learning thing in it now.
Yeah, but they didn't to start with, and they did well there as well.
Yeah, they didn't to start with, yeah.
They were very complex, right? I don't know. I think the system auto adjusts to some extent, although we do need more onboarding.
Yeah. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have a hard game. I think Tarkov has shown that.
Well, I think it's important.
Yeah, I think hard games are kind of the thing right now. In many ways, I think that you just have to find that balance.
Well, hard games is the thing if you don't push out a new game every year. You push out a new game every year, you want it to be quick and very, very simple to learn, with a lot of mechanics that stay the same, right? But if you want a game that has to last 10 years, then you truly need some depth.
For sure. I think that TDM is going to go a long way to help the onboarding. Have you guys played it much? What do you think of shotguns? Okay, and I'll tell you my story. I was playing yesterday. And there was it's one thing for a smoke to be in there with a shotgun. Sure, you're practicing.
Right.
Go for it, man. You're practicing. I can't take that away from you. I saw a Habana running shotgun the other day though. That's not practicing. They're playing team deathmatch. And they're either trolling or trying to win team deathmatch. And to me, that is
trying to win.
That is
having fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that is what's fun for them is to use a shotgun and But what do you guys think? Or do you see that as a problem? Would you consider removing shotguns? That's been talked about. Do you have any issues there?
I will say bar shields, anything I could face in game, I want to be able to face in team deathmatch.
Yeah, I don't think shotguns are a problem because for me, I play a lot of shotguns. I know at what angle is the most advantageous for them to take with me. And if there's a problem with the shotgun having too much of a long range, remember, we had the Ella cannon for a while, which went quite a distance and shouldn't have and hit fired at such a quick rate that became a problem. But no, if I come around a corner and I don't corner check for a shotgun and I get blasted or whatever it is and I'm in team deathmatch, I mean, that's my fault. What I have hated more, and I had it multiple times in team deathmatch today, is that smoke just standing or crouching in a corner. Like, get out of the fucking corner, man. This is weird. Like, run around and shoot. Like, that is weird. Like, get out of the corner.
Okay, bro. So in his defense, what if he's legitimately trying to practice his little clutch thing? What if he is using that as... Why not?
Who is running at you full speed in a clutch? What are you practicing? An unrealistic expectation?
You've never been on site with a smoke having people flood site?
I mean,
maybe he's not comfortable with an SMG-11. Maybe he wants to practice it.
Okay, yeah,
TDM,
absolutely.
It's TDM. In all fairness, I don't care what people do. I'm just there to shoot something that isn't T-Hunt bots.
Okay,
That's
so
the only goal.
Okay, yeah.
Can you party up and join a TDM? Can you bring a 5
Yes.
chat? Okay.
Yes.
Let me. Somebody mentioned this in the chat. Let me throw this at you. They all go Jaeger shotgun and sit in villa basement for the entire for the entire time.
I mean, you can leave a TDM whenever you want.
Yep.
I don't see an issue because I don't know how to police it. So
Right.
Okay, we can take the shotguns away. Then they sit there with whatever else, LMGs in the basement. It doesn't fix anything, right?
If they want to do that and I'm unhappy, I just go return to menu.
True.
Search team deathmatch.
A bigger issue would be if they're actually competent players and they throw like 4 or 5 impacts and they have all spawns locked down, because that's what you do in TDM when you start getting good at it.
See, I haven't encountered that as much so far, so I don't know that.
Spawns yet. Give it a month and people are gonna know spawn rotations. Like Battlefield and Call of Duty TDM with like groups it takes 15-20 seconds and you have spawns locked in, and then you get all
that
the
would be
kills
the only
and the
issue
other
I
team
would
get
have.
no kills.
Yeah, is if I spawn die. I can't remember who said that phrase, and someone memed it, but they're like spawn die, and I was like, yeah, like if that happened to me, I would complain. That would be my legitimate complaint. Yeah.
But again, it's also a thing that's hard to police against because you have to spawn somewhere, and people are like, as long as we have destruction, you can't guarantee that you can spawn with outside line of sight of someone. And even
what if they had many? Like, what if they decided that they would be like, because like it's maps like Villa and Favela. Like I could in my head, not Favela, I don't know the map, very well from like a top-down kind of perspective, but Villa, for example, I know exactly where to C4 everywhere. I could in my mind place at least 25 spawn points in that map. Yes, some are going to be sort of, within the same room and next to each other, etc. But I could at least come up with 25. There is no way you're covering 25.
It's not about having all of them covered at the same time. You are placed in a spot where you're too close to a spawn point to allow another people to spawn, and then you have a line of sight cut off to the other spawn points. So you have plenty of places you can spawn. Only issue is I can see you the second you move. So you spawn, run 2 steps, die. Spawn, run 2 steps, die. And you might kill one on my team, but you're all in spawn rotation at the same time because there's a cooldown for you to spawn. and we can backfill the players. Like spawn trapping has been a thing in every single game that has ever existed. You can add spawn protection, and that just makes it unfun when you run past someone and they have a red glow and you can't kill them. They can kill you.
Yeah, and then the moment they they come in, they can kill you.
To fix. We just have to hope that most people are going to play TDM for fun and not to try and rack up as many kills as possible. Like, there's no. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue because you get 160 renown for winning a TDM. It's not like
it's stuff all. It's not like you're going to do it to grind things.
It doesn't make sense to play TDM unless it's to have fun or to warm up.
What if, as someone in my chat suggested, that we remove throwables from the team deathmatch? That the necessity of that is not really the point of team deathmatch. I like it because I've seen angles in one day that I haven't necessarily seen before, but also that's not meant to be the intention of team deathmatch. So maybe that becomes a problem because all the walls are wide open and you spawn and someone sees you from 3 rooms away. Is that an issue?
I kind of like the idea of people being able to learn how to like flash properly and stuff like that, because there's no ADSs, and just the fact that you could use it to practice. I get that it sucks a little bit that there are impact holes everywhere because it's what everyone runs. They just run impacts and make holes everywhere. I'm glad there's no smokes, but I kind of have this little hope that maybe someone is going to learn how to do some stuff, but it's probably not going to happen because you don't have time to cook a nade. You just don't have time to cook a nade. Like even an impact, if you throw one, you're probably dead. And with flashes, you'll flash a room, run in there, but you're going to get shot in the back. So maybe it'd be fine to remove throwables.
Flanked. Someone in your chat just said something I very much agree with. I actually think Zeronic will agree with.
Shoot.
It says, it's not a problem if there's no win condition. What if you just don't, win? What if no one sees each other's kills or whatever? Only you see the amount of kills that you got, and it becomes like a PB, a personal best.
And you always joined on ongoing. You know what I mean? There was no beginning, there's no end.
It's always a cycle.
I agree.
You're just killing.
That's the best for us sweaty people who literally only want to use it to practice and warm up.
Yeah, true.
Again, I kind of come back. There are people out there who are like, I really enjoy going in there and playing TDM with the good. Maybe they're like, I've always enjoyed the shooting mechanics of Siege. I just haven't enjoyed the round-based system and the downtime. Now I can play Siege and have fun.
Yeah, I also don't like. I don't like the idea of not having a win condition just because you can't set a metric for when you've done well enough. I enjoy the idea of going in and then say one game you get 20 kills and you really apply yourself, and then you get 30.
Yeah.
Maybe one game you get 40, and sure, I don't know, maybe the people on the other team were worse and that's why I did it. But at least I have some sort of feeling that, okay, I'm doing well. And I think it's okay. Like, I don't like this idea of hiding other people's kills, that like the scoreboard removal and stuff like that. I don't care about their names, but I care how I perform compared to the stack.
Okay.
Right? Okay. If I'm at the bottom, I need to apply myself and get my shit together and try not to be at the bottom. Because it is TDM, it's the only way I can measure my performance is if I'm at the bottom, I'm at least the worst one out of the ones on my side, right?
Yeah, I think the no win and the ongoing is the best way for a pure warm up mode, but not for an entertaining game mode that's going to captivate people a little bit more. So I understand.
Maybe I'm looking through it as, through the sort of what's it called? The thing you put on the horse, the blinders. I got the blinders on. I'm looking at it very one-dimensionally.
But even from the sweaty perspective, I feel like the only benefit you get is that you skip the queue time, right? By having it ongoing, that's the only real benefit.
Well, the idea would be that if there's no win condition, then the only thing that people are doing in there is practicing and warming up, and then you remove some of that incentive to sit down in bank or villa basement with a shotgun. You're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but then I think people you'll get another portion of people who will do it just to annoy or just to farm kills, right?
It's not like it's not like deathmatch doesn't exist though in Valorant and stuff like that. And there are annoying people there. I think it's kind of annoying for people to run the op in deathmatch, personally, but I get it. They're practicing their op skills, whatever. So yeah, you're always gonna have somebody. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's
always gonna be something.
Do you guys want to take some viewer questions? Unless for the next half an hour, unless you guys have something else you wanted to throw in. far as a topic, we can just take some questions from the chat.
Was there anything else? I know we have EUL coming back on the 28th. Is that when it was announced? I believe 28th that comes back. I wanted to say, because I get this question a lot, I am very excited to see G2's new roster. I love when they throw random super teams together and stuff like that, because how many have bombed is hilarious to me. So for me, it's actually very funny. But with this one, I can see the slightest ray, sunshine ray coming through the crack of like potential. And so that, if I could see that, I'm like, okay, that sparks my interest. Is that this super team actually caught my eye a little bit? I was like, you know what? I could foresee where this could work. So for those wondering, at least for me personally, I foresee a world where this G2 roster, maybe not short term, but in the medium to long-term future, it might work. I know everyone, I've been criticizing super teams for a while, but yeah.
They gotta get a kick-ass start right away, or they're gonna rip each other apart.
Yeah, that's my
like, they
fear.
have to do well straight away.
Yeah, that's my fear. Yeah. But I could see it doing well, so yes.
Yeah.
I didn't watch, but apparently APAC played already, and Attacker Repick was in there. Have we seen any big changes? I mean, how's it going so far? Everything's okay?
Attacker Repick made almost no fucking difference, and it was great to see, because everyone was screaming, oh, it's going to be broken, you're not going to be able to do anything. It was like, there was one time where I was watching where they even mentioned that someone changed operator, almost like it was this revolutionary thing that they chose to do it, which was a bit there
was one round where they used like the whole team attacker. I can't remember, but something like the whole team attacker repick to like Ying, Glaz, like friggin' like something like that, right? Which what I don't know why they did. They could have just picked it because there's no reveal. Anyway, whatever, right? So the attacker repicked to this. And when they did, it didn't really make a difference because the other team could have assumed they were going to do that anyway. So it wasn't even a talking point to the casters to be. And then I was like confused. I was like, why'd you go through attacker? You could have just came up with that strat to begin with before. Anyway, so I gave up in my mind. And then it was funny because conversely, on the other end of the spectrum, Fnatic kept like banging their heads against the wall when they had attacker repick. They could have changed their operators to fulfill the situation which they kept going up against the Clash. You can bring 3-4 different operators to deal with her, and not once, round after round, attacker repick option after attacker repick did they do it. They won, but I tell you what, they could have won far more convincingly on their attacks if they had been able to deal with the Clash, which lost them rounds.
There's going to be a lot of relearning.
Funny. It's so funny.
Teams are going to have to relearn how to drone, because the idea of having a lot of these setup drones and then not having the intel of what you're actually running up against means that you don't get anything out of the attacker repick.
Yeah.
So unless you risk that in the start, which some teams risked a bit more drones than I'd expect them to do normally, and some teams were very careful with drones. On top of that, Skyscraper was played twice, and at least so far, I'm not a fan of that map.
It was played the same.
So many
yeah
boring ass fights on the balcony.
Yep.
Where it's just stagnant. People are like, they can't really go in. They can't really put any pressure on. It becomes this like gamble. You throw a little bit of utility and then you hope. And if you get in, okay, then it's good match. If they don't get in, then meh.
Yeah.
And you basically had to sweep it from the other side of the building, which means it's just it's the same.
It was bad.
The coastline died for this? Are you serious?
Yep. The new coastline died for this.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about old coastline.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope something changes either in the way that like they figure out a different way to deal with the map, or some sort of little 2.0 tweak to the map where they make the balconies wider and put a box on each one of them or something. Like you can see people being terrified throwing a drone when they're on the balcony, and on the other hand, you don't want to do it when they're on the rappel either. Because you can't get downed on a rappel, right? So if you just take the C4 damage, you're dead. I don't know. Skyscraper was not enjoyable to watch.
That sucks. I hate to hear that. Let's take some viewer questions. Unless there's anything else there. So if you're in the chat, any of the streams, throw your questions in. We can talk about any good topics you want us to talk about. Whatever, throw them in there. We need content from you.
Answer lots of questions.
I have one for you, Jess. How was Jess's day talking to school kids about their career?
Ooh.
Oh, explaining gaming and esports to those who are not very much in the know is a very difficult situation to begin with. I then had to explain it in basic English, like the most basic of English I could muster. And then even that had to be translated by my friend who's the English teacher. And it was like, it became very humbling very quickly because I realized that all of these things I'm trying to explain about what I do, and I travel, around the world to talk about the game. So I ended up using traditional sport references because I thought, especially in Italy, that's easier to speak about, football, or I call it soccer, and use it in that kind of like way. So it required me to be very adventurous with the way that I explained things. And I think they were very, a few of them gamed, of course, especially the guys that sat at the back of the room who didn't want to ask any questions in English because they're only in the English class because they have to be there. That's kind of how I got the gist of a couple of them. They're like, yeah, I game. And that was it. So I was like, yeah, okay. They're like, yeah, I know Rainbow Six. I know you. Okay, cool. All right.
Didn't you just tell them if they just didn't care about school and played 8 to 10 hours a day that succeed in life? That's what we did.
Oh no, I did not have the guts to tell anyone that. In fact, when I left the high school, right at the end, I said, I want you all to know that you learning English is really, really important. The world is, expanding internationally and globalization very heavily. I said, if you can pick up a little bit of English and whatnot, you can do so many things that you want to do around the world. I said, if this is something you're about, I said, I'd heard about, they have a saying in Italy, why learn English? I live in Italy. And I said, that's all well and good. If you want to stay in Italy, you want to talk to people who are only Italian. I said all of these things. I said, but there's a big wide world out there. And I've done my best when I moved to Germany to learn German. When I moved to Italy, I'm learning Italian as well. I said, it can be really helpful, not just for you, but for your job and everything. So that was my big learning point outside of teaching gaming was that. Yeah.
It's also foolish not to learn English. How are you going to appreciate all the gold nuggets from Logic Bomb?
I mean, hello? You hearing all these accents? I mean, if you learn English well, then all you have to do is decipher the accents. It's great. Yeah.
DC Gaming says, did the new season live up to your increased viewership expectations? I think on the first day.
See it?
I think on the first day there was like 30K or so on Twitch, which is a lot more than normal. Is that I don't think that YouTube viewership is necessarily, I'm sure it's spiked a little bit, but it's nothing like, if YouTube viewership is going to come back, it's going to be a slow climb in my opinion. I don't think you'll see that spike like initially.
It's got 14.1 right now for reference.
It's higher. That's probably, maybe I would say
triple what it usually is in my memory.
I would say at least twice as much as what we would normally have around this time of the day.
It's without a doubt been higher. I was gonna say it's been about twice as much since the thing came out, since the patch came out. But I'll also say that that's not impressive because it was down at 3K at one point. So 6,000 is still twice as much, right? And that's not good.
And it does this every season. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I will say, I don't care how many people are watching it on Twitch and how many people are watching it on YouTube. I care about all the people that came in and saying, after 6 months, I'm trying Siege again and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Because they actually, that matters. If we're seeing a little bit less people watching it because maybe they're actually trying it.
Yeah.
Right? That's a win.
And if they get back into it, they will consume content eventually as well.
Naturally.
I've heard very many people say, it's only a day, right? So let's see in 2 weeks if they still have the same vibes. But saying they came back and they actually had fun, they actually enjoyed and they were excited about coming back. There's a lot of cool new stuff. They've missed maybe a couple of seasons, so there's a lot of new stuff to catch up to. Hearing that was awesome. And then it's actually refreshing right now because they're all the new sites, new operator, there's actually a refreshing feel to it. I think last season was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think I'll be able to remember what actually happened last season in another like next season. It'll just all blur together and not really stand out.
And we still don't have the new map. The new map is coming at some point. That's gonna be.
You know, I'm actually. I hate to praise shit like this, but a lot of people are like, oh my god, like the new map should have come out, you know, to really. I actually disagree, because when you stretch like exciting shit out and you retain my interest, which is hard to do to begin with anyway, then like you've kind of caught me for longer than you would have originally. So part of my little business soul goes, oh, the fact that they're releasing this like later, I'm like, oh, that's such a smart move. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, inside, I'm like, no, Jess, they should. And when they promise to release things and the things, they should release it. Don't praise this kind of behavior. And then part of me is like, actually, this is like this kind of good, because I got time to consume Team Deathmatch. I got time to consume Azami. I now get time to consume my placements. Oh, and then the new map, you know, a couple weeks. Oh, nice. Now I can consume this without being overloaded with all the things I want to learn at once. So I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of nice to have that. Sure. Yeah, that little time.
I have a question here. What do you guys expect out of the new map? Something you'd like to see, or something you'd like to not have in the map?
Transparent thingy. I see you through the thing.
You want that?
Window.
You want that?
I don't know, man. I just think it's fresh, funky, and new.
Okay. Like what's in the stadium map, the original stadium map. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that one.
I'd really like that as well, to be honest.
I think that was just so. It was like you saw them, they saw you. You couldn't do anything about it. You teabag a little bit, and you're like, "I'll see you around the corner, bitch." Like, come 1v1 me.
Unbreakable aquarium.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's cool.
What do you mean?
An aquarium that's unbreakable.
You just like the aesthetics of the aquarium.
No,
but you'd be able to see through it.
Have transparent glass that.
Oh, and you would be able to, like, if I could see you on the other side through the water. Like through the little...
Yeah, like a window, but just a big square thing. It doesn't even have to be water in it.
I don't care what it's made of, as long as I can see through it and you can't shoot me through it. I mean, sure. People use plexi or whatever it's called. But yes, yeah, whatever it is.
Plexiglass, right?
Plexi
All right.
I don't know what it's called.
So while you guys are trying to turn our maps into amusement parks over here, I'm gonna be real with you, okay? The thing I'm curious to see is, are they sticking with the buffer rooms style of design? Will we have any reinforceable external walls that go directly into sight? Those are two things that I'm looking for. Is it going to be a villa? Is it going to be a new villa, or is it going to be a new, I don't know, consulate?
Stop with the Skyscraper on Pro League is the greatest example. Stop forcing me to have to jump into a window to vault in order to access the map. And if I don't choose to vault in, I have to go through one singular door on one side of the map. Don't do that. Stop with that design shit that way. Skyscraper, the fact that it's in Pro League blew my mind, because it's one of my insta bans in ranked, because I hate being forced to go in one of three doors or windows consistently, no matter the side. So I will, part of me will have a little bit of a heartbreak if this Emerald Plain map comes out and it's like, I must go through this door, or I must vault in a window, and then people start to do the frost meta with it, you know, forcing you to have to look down and shoot and whatever. That's gonna break my heart. Make the map properly. If there needs to be buffer rooms for it, like there is in Villa, then make the buffer rooms. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, it has to be accessible.
I think Outback is the best new map that's been made. I love that map. It's so well made. You have exterior breaches that actually have value, but that aren't, like, you can't plant a foot in.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
We can call the bunk beds a buffer room, but in all reality, you can kind of clear a lot of sight from outside still, right?
Yeah.
But you can't just walk in and plant. You have to clear a bit, then you have to go and you have to take some real fights. Your balconies are wide, big. There are both staircases. There's rappels. There's a massive difference between each site. None of the downstairs sites have direct access from a breachable wall from outside.
Yeah.
But you have bigger open rooms. There is plenty of ways of doing vertical, and there's a ton of ways to enter the map.
Yes.
Either through a window, through an open doorway, through a platform. There's so many different ways to get in, and
Why
yet
did
it
that not
doesn't
make it
feel.
in? Why did that? Why did Sky and not that?
I don't know. I assume they might have had something to say, the players, and
Okay.
I don't know. But I think it's a mistake. I
Yeah.
think Sky's could have been in. Or sorry, I think Outback should have been in.
Yeah.
I'm glad Sky's in though, because now at least it's gonna be better in ranked.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Give it a
Sure.
season, then it's gonna be playable in ranked and kind of enjoyable.
My thing,
I'm excited for a new map.
my thing with external walls is that it gives new players a realistic opportunity to play with their fun little gadget and see the cause and effect of it. That's one aspect of it. Before dying to a Jaeger that heard them punch a barricade and just came sprinting. So that I think it also does kind of put pressure on those deep roamers and stuff like that when you have an external wall that attackers can apply pressure with. I think it just, if you have an external wall that's important, you're going to have a lot of really cool Rainbow Six iconic interactions that go on around that wall. And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look, honestly, if this new map comes out and it is semi-playable and has proper points of ingress and there's proper ability to hold sites and get into the map and whatever it is, and let's say there's a few problematic areas that are fixable, you know, with a nice little refresh, Clubhouse still rings true to me. That was actually quite a big fix. Like, Clubhouse originally was actually quite a big fix compared to maybe what I'm referencing in my head of being like a smaller fix to that. But and hello, Karina. Oh, you're so cute. And you have to interrupt your sentence when a dog enters the scene, of course. But I think that will be enough for me to say that the map is good. Because we have Skyscraper in Pro League, which I thoroughly believe it shouldn't be. We had Outback fixed into a nice point of being able to play it, and I don't ban it anymore unless there's two other better maps in the map pool and ranked. I'm happy to leave it, you know, to be able to play. So I don't know. I think if it's semi-good, it'll beat maps like Canal. It'll beat maps like Skyscraper. I can automatically shove it further up the list without any fixes, just from it being default having an easier accessibility.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I just hope it's vastly different than other maps.
Yeah.
Like, that's I'm sick of getting maps that are kind of like each other, right? I like Canal because Canal is weird. Ugh. It's different than all other maps. I like Favela because it's different, and Outback. And I also like all the other old maps. I just don't see a point in getting new maps if they follow the exact same flow and rules. Like, if we're gonna have one site where the floor is gonna be soft, and like, let's say A has a soft floor and B has a non-soft floor, we have one exterior breach, we have one door to windows. Like, if it follows this like basically checklist, then I don't care if it's a new map. It's still gonna be kind of the same checklist that I have to go through as an attacker. Sure, you can have like a box placed a different spot and stuff. But why not have some maps that like promote running 3 hot breaches all the time, and maps where hot breaching is almost not necessary? Like, I thought it was an interesting thing that happened with Coastline, where sometimes you saw like hot breaches just disappear and it became just a gun.
Yes, people hated that shit, and you and I spoke about the COD thing. And I thought to myself, well, actually, I loved playing Coastline in ranked, and I still love it because I don't need to play Ace or Habana anymore. I could if I want to open up the longer. I want to open up Quad War. You know, I have that option too. Attack a repick now. I can even get way more options if I want.
That's my gripe with how we look at everything. Like, I know everyone's gonna call me a psycho for it, but like, Tower was enjoyable because there was no soft destruction. Just for a change, we had one map that you had to play completely different, right?
Okay.
There was not a single site that had vertical soft destruction.
Also, what happened to Fortress? Fortress wasn't horrific.
Fortress was alright. I think Fortress was alright. I think there was a little bit too much soft destruction on some parts and not enough on others. But
okay.
On the other hand, like it was still an interesting game. The idea of the long hallways everywhere, like everything was just long hallway fights.
Yeah, that's true.
But why not have that? Because we didn't have that in a lot of other maps. Like Monty was insanely strong on that map. He was very, very good at it, right? On the Villa, we kind of have some of the long hallways, but they're just long tunnels of C4able areas, and you can only really push 90 and short, and then that's about it. I enjoy the fact that we can have maps that are so vastly different that you truly need to pick different lineups when you play them. Instead of being able to do the Empire Special or whatever you want to call it, where you have 2 hard breaches, 2 soft destructors, and a flex.
Yeah.
It's a boring ass thing to just always run the same lineup on every map and have it work.
Yeah. I never really thought. I think I'd never had that like internal thought about why do I like Coastline? Why do I enjoy taking different operators on Coastline when I preach this whole philosophy of I like objective-based play? Because what people didn't understand is I did still do a lot of objective-based play. Chloe would still go behind the bomb chassis and I would cover, but I'd be doing it with a different operator. My option to get into sight, to kill the people is I'm taking grenades and I'm grenading underneath. I love it on Coastline. That shit riles me up. Do I do it on a lot of other maps? No, because the accessibility for me to do so is limited compared to what I can get in and get it done like I can on Coastline. So you're right. I never thought, why do I enjoy it when it is a map that people preach as being a frag heavy map, and I don't enjoy that kind of gameplay because, I mean, I play it differently. I do. That's you're right.
But it's
you are
maps,
right.
operators, and everything. We ask for new stuff. We actually get new stuff. We complain that it's too different.
Yeah.
We get something that's like what we had, and we complain that nothing's changed. Yeah. I'd rather it goes too far every time. Give us something so new, and then just stop changing it from Ubi's side. Stop giving in every single time people say it's a bad map, and just push it in rank, push it in Pro League, and most of the maps are pretty damn well made. Right? Outback on this edition at least is really good. All the reworks they've made have made the maps better. Skyscrape is better than it used to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just not quite there in my opinion. I might also be wrong. Maybe if they played for 2 months,
that's true. I mean, we probably should give it more time, but I do think there's something to be said about the design of Skyscraper with the balconies. It really controls everything, it's.
How many people were repelled upside down where I've been repelling upside down for however many years on that exact same office balcony, and pro leaguers also had to do the exact same thing I did because there was no other option. Yep. And these, you know what they had to do to stop the run out from the whatever that door is, drum door or whatever, the one before drum door, the run out for them when they're getting the breach. I saw players throwing grenades at the door uncooked, so that their thermite could open the wall. This is in Pro League. These mother effers don't know how else, other than doing a cross clear from Geisha over and investing 3/4 of the round in order to get that kind of control. For their thermite to get onto the fucking wall. I hate to be this aggressive about it, but give it 3 more weeks and we are going to be sick to death of seeing the same shit on that wall over and over again. You just have to go below and just do grenades below. You know what every other defensive member's going to do? They're going to go out to Dragon. They're going to go out to Drum. They're going to wait. They're going to come back in because they still have control. It's bad. It is bad. And I don't often criticize maps that heavily because we just had that discussion about Coastline. But this map is bad. And people have been raving about Border as well. Whatever. Not as bad as Skyscraper.
Dude, I'd even love to see Canal in. I know that. Yeah, but it's different.
Sure.
But Canal is different. That's my argument as well. And I guess you could say, well, Skyscraper is different. Okay, but Canal, I want to give Canal a chance. I want to see how that's played. But what I recognize as the difference is how you've got 2 different maps connected by 2 long hallways. I want to see how that's going to play out. Are we going to see them eliminate one side without a clear? Or are we going to see them be able to just set up drones and completely say, okay, that side of the map is clear. We don't even have to worry about. And now there's like instant site pressure. I don't know. I want to see it.
Leon Gids is in my chat for Pro League reference for you. And he says, nah, Jess is wrong. Sky over border. Which, okay, I don't mind if you prefer Sky or you prefer border. They're both fucking dog shit. So I don't care which dog shit you prefer. Same shit, different smell to me. So go along, Leon, and congratulations on your new team, by the way.
Well, I had somebody in my chat that asked, what is the worst rework that we had in the game?
Oh.
Words,
Hereford?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was bad. That was
bad. It's not even a competition. It's not.
Yeah.
It still made Hereford better.
It took really bad to like just bad.
No, I don't even know. I can make an argument that old Hereford, at least when you factor in nostalgia, means something, because when they did the game mode where you went back and played the old ops on the old Hereford, it was my god, this is bringing back memories. Listen, I'll say this. Hereford, if they would have fixed the top floor, or maybe not even put a site on the top floor, the map actually wouldn't have been terrible in my opinion. But when you combine the fact that they ruined an OG map and completely changed the art style into a dark farmhouse,
dingy, whatever the hell they changed it to, yeah.
From a cool special ops training facility to a dark barn,
with spider webs in every corner, which I felt at home with.
It really did. Yeah, I would say that probably does take the cake.
Absolutely. Anyone who disagrees, man, if they removed Hereford from, it's just casual now, right? I know they had like grand larceny on or whatever, but if they removed Hereford from the game, they could save up so much space on my computer and I wouldn't even notice. No one would notice it's gone. They're just like, wow, suddenly I feel lighter. I don't know what's going on, but
funny thing is, old Hereford was hated so immensely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you know what? Playing that map in comp had some fucking flair to it. There was something about how you had to change everything. You had to look at it a different way. You only had one staircase, which was the issue.
The staircases were rough.
The game still played out in an interesting way. The only difference that was with the rework was that everyone decided the top 4 attacks were impossible, and then they didn't care to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, at Banner, you could open wall getting across through the whole site. Arguably, the attacking win rate on that top floor probably wasn't as bad as we think it is if we compare it to some of the maps we have today. So we're saying that top floor was impossible to attack, but yet we have sites today that have lower win rate on attack than that one. Right? Do
you remember the platform outside as well? Like, that was a pretty hefty platform compared to some of the maps we have now.
You could fight on that platform into the tractor room. You could bounce nades off the beams. The beams were placed in a very specific way. So you could
the Valkyrie cams in there?
Yeah, you could clear the mirror windows from the beams. You could throw capitals and candelas in, so you could do your vault in through the window, right? You could do vertical on one of the sites with a buck from below, so you could get control of the stairs. There was plenty of ways to deal with taking top floor. If you went through it and actually made a decent strat with a 5-stack and you did it, you could have a good win percent. But when you go in solo and you just keep banging your head against the wall, repelling on the same window, you get angry and you say that the top floor site is shit.
Yeah.
But maybe if that map was forced into Pro League, that wouldn't be the case, because then we'd see that, okay, actually you can attack it, and it's actually not the best site on the map. It's just very difficult to attack if you don't do it in a certain way. But I just don't think we can judge maps without having, like, we need teams to sit down and break shit.
Yeah,
because we're not going to do it individually. How many actually sit down and spend a couple of hours breaking a map every time it comes out? Like, truly in custom, destroy every wall and understand everything about that map. And then still, you keep learning new things you can do. Like, I've bugged the maps completely where there's nothing left, no software, no nothing. And I'll still miss like 15 different angles that I'll learn from dying to them or seeing someone else do them. That's while everything is open and free for me to explore, and I'll still not know or understand what's happening. I don't think we're fair on maps. I think we do the same thing 10 times in a row, and then we get angry that it's the map's fault that we didn't change.
I think that doubles down to the fact that now, and I hate using Skyscraper as like the foundation for this, but I'm just going to keep doing it. The fact that the Pro League players are doing exactly what I feel I am forced to do on a certain balcony, and there is seemingly no other option, and they're repeating those same things, highlights the fact that on other maps where I actually have other options to go with and I don't take them for whatever reason, or I find it too difficult or whatever, or I need a teammate to help me with it, it actually shows me what it could be. It could be rappel upside down on office balcony bad. You know what I mean? It could be that bad, but other maps actually aren't that bad. So I can, thank my lucky stars that in certain maps actually have other options. And I'm like, Skyscraper, you have one option for that site, and you open that wall and you grenade a door. Like, that's it. So yeah, no, now that there's a clear example of how bad it could be, I'm starting to, be a little more appreciative of some maps. I'll say that much.
See, the floor's been lowered, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly. So I know.
I like to see them make a deal where there's not going to be new maps made unless they get a season in Pro League.
Well, they have to.
Just one.
I think we come back to what we've been saying for the last few weeks, in that the pro players need to stop voting on what maps they play. That probably
that's awful. Yeah, that's awful.
They can give feedback, and then they can look at that feedback and they can go,
Yep. You're right.
I'm good with it when it comes to weapon balancing and stuff like that, because they're very, very good players are very good at saying that something feels wrong.
Yes.
We are very shit at coming with a solution.
Yep. I remember when R6 Fix was like first being pushed. How long ago was this? Like, was this when I was a coach? I can't remember, but they were pushing it.
Nothing's that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. But I remember it being pushed, and someone put in like the group Pro League feedbacky thing that we had at the time to say, I don't know how to explain it, but sound feels wrong. And I'll never get this like Discord message out of my head, but they typed, I can't explain it, but sound feels wrong. And then someone underneath put, I agree with you. There's something wrong. And so when they ask for specifics, like, when you say something wrong, could you give me like a little, like some adjectives? It just sounds wrong. Now you're right. Pro players can identify very quickly when something changes from the norm or it's not as optimal as usual. But holy crap, are you even more right that they cannot offer solutions or pinpoint or the specificity is very low, because ever since that message, I've never thought that pro players should be involved in any kind of like, not the balancing per se, but any kind of like executive decisions. When I saw that, I was like, okay.
Well, it's not even a pro player thing. It's just a player thing, right? Like, we will be able to tell when something isn't the way it used to be, or something feels off in terms of game flow. Yeah. But the solution we're going to come with is always the most surface level bullshit. It will be, okay, I died too much to Yana. Yana's gun is too strong. That's it. Done. That's it. It's not that maybe the good players are choosing to play it because of something, and it's the utility that means you can take more fight. She has more information, whatever, right? Like, we just look at, okay, I died too much to this one thing, or I got angry every time I stepped on a frost mat, therefore traps are bad. Maybe there's more to it sometimes than just, easy, just hit the fix button. And also when we come with the solution, and if that solution gets implemented, I think we've had a fair amount of talks about that, where we had devs on and we came with like an idea, and they're like, yeah, but if you do that, then this, and we both go, oh yeah, shit, we didn't think about that. It's been so many times with do you remember the conversation about the destruction with what if we had like no headshots through soft walls? Well, then what if a wall is partially broken and I can see 90% of a person, but there is like a barricade in front of his head, and I choose to shoot it in his head? Now that guy won't die to that, right?
Yeah.
What if it's like a piece of paper hanging in front. Like, can you wallbang that? There's just a lot of things where what we see as a solution right away might not be that simple when it actually comes to implementing it. So we should just say what feels wrong and then just leave it there. Give ideas, but just don't pretend like we have the fix, because we so rarely do.
Yeah. And even if you do say, hey, here's a problem, and I've thought that maybe this could be one possible solution. I actually think that's even better, because you're adding to the pool of possible solutions. You know, the LMG thing is the only like meta thing I have a problem with, and I don't want to take the LMG. I don't want to add all these negatives. Someone in my chat, rightfully so, one of my mods brings up the fact that every time we speak about in a nerf, we're taking something. We're always take. You know, remove things from the game.
I hate that. I just want to buff everything.
Exactly. Well, yeah, maybe I'm not on that train just yet, but I want to, instead of taking away the LMG, because I think LMGs are a part of every first-person shooter and should be in some way, how about you just add a movement penalty? We're not removing, we're adding then. Oh, when you carry it, it's heavier, as it is.
Do you not think, how do we get to LMGs being an issue? By nerfing something else.
We nerf something else, yes.
Okay, so what happens when LMGs become an issue? We find another issue, and then we nerf that. And then what? Then we nerf the next thing and the next thing. And all of a sudden, we have all of our guns are going to do exactly 25 damage. They're going to have exactly 700 rounds per minute, exactly 30 bullets, same scope in time, same speed on the operators. The problem with nerfing is that we're going to go to like a baseline at some point.
Yeah.
And we're removing everything in terms of like identity and in the playstyle of the operators. All like, just keep everything busted. Like, then you self-balance by what you pick. And there is ways, like there are fighting games that do this, where if there is an issue with something being too strong, they buff other things to get them into play, and they find something that can then counter them, right? I think if Ash and Sophia wasn't nerfed, we'd never have seen LMGs kick off the way they did now, because for that long, no one really ran Sophia LMG or complained about it. And now everyone is like fuming. It's the most oppressive and strong weapon in the game ever. And if it was that damn good, why didn't no one use it before? And I know there's going to be like 5 people that said, I did. Cool. But it apparently didn't have enough impact that anyone else but you cared, right?
The best example, like if we wanted like here's an example of like how we want things, is IQ. Not the gadget, not anything else. IQ. I have had arguments with people for years about what is the best gun to take on IQ. Oh, I take this angle grip, this and that. I think this is good. Well, actually, I take the Commando because of this. Pro League players were taking like 3 different versions of whatever IQ they thought was the best for them. You know, well, I like this because it hits harder, even though, you know, it's a slower, you know, fire rate and stuff like that. And I was like, no, but the G8, you know, the G8, like TT, I mean, we have the lowest TTK out of like every FPS game. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It actually did not matter which one you sort of like took per se, because you had less than a 0.5 of a second TTK anyway. So at that point, it was like a preference.
What was the performance difference though in them? Because I remember we talked to Matt about that, the recall guy, the weapon guy. And
well,
there was a difference.
I think that what stood out, if I'm remembering it correctly, is that she had 2 guns in the top 5 as far as KD on attack.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just looked at her as like a case study and said, well, actually, we had so much diversity as to who was picking what gun, who thought was the best in this, and then you just applied that across the board. Oh, now we get to Alex's idea of now we don't have to nerf because all of them are quote unquote good and could rival each other. And that's the one like case study I'll always use, is that even to this day, someone will come to me and say, I don't know why you use the G8, the Commando's better. I go, I like your argument, disagree, but let's go.
I will. I'll say one thing as far as the LMGs. I'll say one thing as far as the LMGs. Okay, I think that in a game that has a one-shot headshot, and that has such little recoil, it feels a bit weird to watch the meta become hold an angle with a LMG, hold down mouse 1, spray 150 bullets, and then land one of those bullets on a head, and then you want to fight. That feels a bit weird. If we had guns that had more recoil in this game, to where holding down where holding down mouse 1 wasn't as viable, then I wouldn't have a problem with the current LMG meta, or maybe I wouldn't as much, or maybe we wouldn't have an LMG meta. I mean, yeah, if they're that strong, how did they take this long to get there? I think also, I don't think it's only Zofia. I think that was the biggest. That was the biggest catalyst, was the nerf to the M762. I will give you that. But I think that you can say that maybe, there was a time when people didn't realize how good the G8 was, and then that the G8 was kind of like, oh, LMGs can be viable, and then now you see Zofia. Okay, that's another thing. Now frags are so important. Finka gets bought a couple times. She's got a good LMG. Okay, now we're in a position where we're seeing 3 LMGs. So I don't know.
Yeah, we are. We are actually.
Yeah.
But what about making the weapons different to a point where if you choose an LMG, it has an actual impact, because an LMG does need a lot of bullets. It does need low enough recoil that you can shoot all these bullets, because otherwise, why even have it? If we bust the recoil to be like Sophia's gun, no one's going to sit and tap fire with an LMG. The point is to suppress, right? To just keep bullets going down. What about just giving them 2 mags? You have 1 mag in the gun, and you have 1 mag you can reload, and then fuck it. Let's make it so when you pick an LMG, you lose 1 speed. Done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it has an advantage.
Is big.
And then we're fair, and we buff the ARs back to where they were, or in between, whatever. And we say, okay, you have 4 mags for that.
Yeah.
Instead of, we have so much ammo in Siege, and it's so disgusting that we can face check 90% of the angles in game while holding full auto, and it doesn't come at any cost by the time we get to 0 seconds. I can move through almost every round, tap firing at everything I think has a player. And I'm still going to have enough ammo.
Yep.
If I do that, I should go through 2 rooms and be like, shit, I'm down to my pistol.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of us being able to, just burn through everything.
I wallbang everything. I'll be I'm repelling. I'm wallbanging. No, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not saying this is this would prevent it from happening, but the argument I've always heard against that is that now barricades become the meta, and people will just barricade everything.
Wouldn't it be amazing if they made a difference?
What if barricades made a difference?
Yeah, how often do you see people barricade? It's time consuming, and it also hurts the defender when they have to rotate.
I was gonna say, when my teammates barricade stuff and I'm on defense, I'm ripping that shit down. Don't stop my line of sight. Don't give safety to the attackers who believe, Study's barricaded, so therefore I don't even have to watch my back. I can go down classical hallway, and if they break it, I will either quote unquote hear it, or my drone towards main stairs will hear it. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like barricades being up, and I'm on defense.
Oh, and then we buff the MRs to get them more destruction, because they can already open hatches, right?
Yeah.
We make secondary SMG pistols have very low ammo, but manageable good recoil. So SMG 11 back to where it almost were, the same with the SMG 12, but only 2 mags. It's a backup weapon. It's not your damn primary. Good luck playing smoke.
Yeah.
FMG 9.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't be this multi-purpose tank that has a shotgun, an SMG with enough bullets to kill the entire enemy team plus your next 15 ranked games, and 3 smoke grenades. You don't need that much, and a shield, right? You don't need that much.
I would like there to be a brain smarts and when you go about it.
All pistols get infinite ammo, but very low, if not almost no soft destruction.
Well, that could solve the barricade issue, because if you can open barricades pull out your pistol to open barricades. So,
yeah, I think then it becomes so time consuming that it's still worth it to barricade. I don't think it'll be that big a problem, because we have so many things that can open barricades as well, right? Or lower the amount of bullets that it takes to break a barricade.
Yeah.
Yeah, lower its damage. Yeah.
Balance things out, kinda, but we have too much ammo in Siege, and in a round of rank, you almost hear bullets flying from the first second to the end.
Yeah.
I also think it's at the cause of a lot of audio issues. It's how many shots are actually being fired. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I think it's a lot harder to know what's going on when there's like 17 guns firing at the same time. To blindly check stuff, and if you miss a drone with a mag, it doesn't really matter right now. You can spray a mag at a drone. That shouldn't be a thing. Like I do that every day. I miss a drone for like a full mag and then one tap it on the second map, right?
It's my console gameplay.
Exactly.
That's actually a funny interaction. You bring that up, is that you shouldn't be allowed to miss a drone, and if you do, it comes at the penalty of you likely not having ammunition into the mid to late part of the round. Like that blows my mind that interaction should and could be a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So someone here said this might not be good to console. I'm completely fine because console already has their special thing with you get less recoil because you only have thumbs.
Yeah.
They would
I'm
get
fine
more
with
ammo.
console. Just give them one more mag or two more, whatever balances it out.
Whatever balances it for them, yeah.
Yeah. I'm completely fine with that. If they can say that, well, on console it's this % of shots hit compared to on PC, then use that as your metric for how much ammo they need. And they did lower the ammo we have on PC
yes,
or in general. I just don't think it's enough. I run out of ammo on like 3 characters ever, and it's kind of purposefully because I'm pushing it.
I never run out of ammo. Like I never run out of ammo.
Zero,
I'm not gonna say I never have,
okay.
but maybe like once or twice in my entire life have I ran out of ammo.
Oh, I do it all.
It might happen once a month to me.
Zero, you run Heartbreach Gone 6 and the F2000, you have like no ammo. You spray a couple barricades open to get your cams in. You ping someone, try to wall bang. Now you're down to like 1 mag, and I'm like, okay, I gotta be careful now, right? That's a cool thing because during that game, I actually have to stop making a choice. Whereas the other time, you just keep banging down the hallway and randomly get people.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think that's been a conversation before, which I've just sort of agreed with and then just walked on and just gone, oh yeah, I agree with that, and then moved on. And I think that's a part of the conversation we could probably have more seriously. I want to make another Jess statement in there, because someone in my chat said, I know everyone talks about it all the time nowadays, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on attacker repick. I know we've already discussed it earlier on, but there's something that they said in there that I wanted to sort of reply to a little bit more poignantly. They said, I for one don't think it should exist. I think it was part of Siege to make an educated guess as to which operator is being brought, and therefore as an attacker. Choose and commit to it. It was part of the strat, for me at least. I want to jump in there and say, 2 years ago, I agree with you. 2 years ago, old Jess agrees with you. Today I sit here and go, why the F are we introducing counters to operators? Why are we introducing counters to operators like Warden and all these specificity and stuff like that, really cool shit, to the game if I can't ever see that interaction happen? Why do I have to make an educated guess? Why do I, before I load in, have to make an educated guess? Why does that have to be part of the way of playing Siege? Why can't I go in and go, okay, like, I can either get my drone in there and work out if they have like a Warden for me or not. I don't have a reveal phase anymore, so I can't really even be sure. Like, and of course this is going to be competitive, that we're thinking where the reveal phase was. But even so, why do I have to learn the game in such a way that it's like this guessing game? I don't like that. I don't like that. If I get a drone in and I confirm that they've got a Warden and I've got a Ying, it should be part of the smarts for that to know that that is a counter to me. And that I, therefore, can make a choice to not bring it anymore and bring something else to engage better, to have a better chance of clashing against that composition or that operator, for example. I want to see engagements where either you didn't drone the Warden and you continued to pick, or you changed onto the Ying or whatever you did, or conversely, you didn't, and then you changed to an operator that would better suit the Warden or the Shield or this and that. I don't think we need to have a guessing game anymore. I don't think that's part of the skill of Siege.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, if you call it a skill to guess where they're gonna be, then like when you start picking an offsite, you outskilled them by just doing something that's strategically unsound because you're expecting them to pick something else.
Yes.
Like right now, you actually have to apply some game knowledge and get some info and then make a choice, right? Whereas before, you just pick whatever was the safest. Like if you were running Clubhouse, you ran 3 heartbreakers because you might need them.
We're sick of that. We're sick of that. How many times have I said to you guys since we had the discussion about attack or repick is that on Clubhouse, for example, I take a bar on bottom floor, but when it comes to CC, I will take Buck because I want the hard breach gadgets for the garage and the soft breach for the Maverick. And then when I take Gym, I take grenades because we like to grenade the drone hole. I have different strats in mind for me. How boring is it if they start on Gym? I needed grenades for the drone hole. I don't have it. I pick Buck thinking they're going to go this. I now have this hard breach gadget for not really much of a reason other than cash or CC wall. I mean, I'm bored of this. I'm bored of the guessing game beforehand. And why... Oh, I picked an off-site. Like, you're not prepared for this. Like, I'm sick of that now. I want interesting engagements. And game.
To play into your point, one of the earliest, like, aha moments for me that Rainbow Six Siege is different and I love it, was me being IQ and killing a pulse through the floor through my scanner. That was like, holy shit, this game is different. And that was awesome. I just countered that pulse, used my utility, got a kill with it. That was amazing. So... anything that's going to increase those type of interactions, I think, is a good thing.
Yes. Yep.
I've already seen more Fuse being played in my games this season than the entire last season.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because now people don't feel as much like they're costing if they take the chance.
That Fuse player that like, and their bottom, like, or their top floor, and everyone's like, wow.
Yeah, like on some maps, it's super fucking helpful. Like Consulate Basement. Fuse is probably the most disgusting thing to be against.
Yeah.
Well, Consulate top 4, he's just a window repel goblin.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Can't do anything, right?
A loud, slow.
Like, you get nothing out of him. You have a good gun, that's it. Also, the gadget, I'm using that a ton. Like, changing my gadget based on what's actually happening, right?
I think that defenders should be able to change their loadout unless they've deployed, if they haven't deployed utility in the prep phase. Personally, I think that could be. I think that could be a nice tweak for them. Once you fired, even once you fired a bullet, technically, once you fired a bullet, you can't do it anymore. Yeah, if you've deployed anything whatsoever, you can no longer do it. But up until the end of the prep,
why not just allow them to have like between bulletproof and shield?
Why not just allow them what?
Only swap their gadgets. But
okay, then that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking as far as like attack, optics and stuff, because attackers can do that, right? They can switch everything.
Yeah, they can switch everything.
If you only want to make it to where they can swap their secondary gadgets, that's fine. That's probably a good medium.
Yeah. Let's say you load in, and you go, oh shit, actually, we don't have the ADSs for an elbow hold. I took a shield. I actually, for whatever reason, I don't agree with it, but you change over to, I don't even know what the other gadget is for smoke. Honestly, I've never used it. I always use shield. Maybe? Is it Barb?
It might be. Is it Barb?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Barb. Yeah. There you go, Barb. For whatever reason, actually, we need Barb. No one else is taking Barb. Yeah, good option. I mean, you can't do everything during the operator selection. Like, how long is op select? Is it 15?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, yeah, and it also we got to remember the change cuts out like 3 seconds before the round starts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
You can't swap spawns.
No, I noticed that too.
At the end, which is annoying as all hell.
It is. It's caught me a couple times, but overall, I think we all will agree. I think so far, attacker repick is cool.
I think it's so refreshing, and also the HUD change where I can see what my teammate has in terms of gadgets.
Oh, yeah.
You can backseat like a champ. You can say, okay, we have like 16 smoke grenades. Can we get 1 claymore? Right? Okay, Buck, can you take a hot breach because we know they're downstairs? Like, there's so much stuff you can do now with that. I will say there was someone had response to the ammo thing saying that lowering the ammo might be really hurting people at lower elo or lower skill, but I think if you don't have it available, you're not gonna just gobble it away. I think if they struggle with hitting the shot, they're not necessarily gonna spray all that much, and also the person that you're gonna be against are probably not gonna be as good on the drone, and it's kind of gonna balance out. But like they meant maybe a guy at Copper had to use a Mac for a drone, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, and then conversely a gunfight. Yeah. Okay.
I assume that the guy using the drone is probably not going to have the drone in as good a spot, and is probably not going to use it as well. And
it doesn't know how to in a way, and okay.
I'd assume that would kind of balance out. But I just like to see them try.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you guys want to wrap it up there?
Sure. Why not?
Nice long episode for everybody after a little bit of a shorter one last week. Next week is kind of up in the air. We'll talk about it, I guess, in the DMs and stuff. So stay tuned, everybody, for what's going on next week. But thanks everybody. This has been fun. Demon Vale's awesome. See you guys on next one.
Remember your get flanked, John.
Oh yeah. This guy, which way is it on the camera? This guy has a charm now. Joined the crew. I think they felt bad for him and stuff. So he now also joins the charm crew. So please
now
get it.
Available. So go get it. Yes. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of charm collectors in my chat. So I know. Go get it. Bye.